This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
Come on, that was pretty good. Okay, forget it. Oh, man. Jeez. Anyways, that's my new sound effect. Listen to that one. Yeah, it's pretty good. How could that be echoing again? God. So it was echoing again. Was it echoing for everybody again? That doesn't make any sense. I already fixed that. Let me see. Now I have to go check again. Because I don't want audio doubling up when I play something. I was wondering if it was going to do that. Now I don't remember what it was that I fixed yesterday. Oh, man. Yeah. I'll try not to play any audio then, I guess. Here, you guys can do your hello thing for a while. I'm gonna try to fix something. Oh, you hate when you go to a store and somebody says, they say to you, can I help you today? Or, I mean, why are they asking you that? No, tomorrow would be great, you know? Let's see, so it was the desktop. Oh yeah, see, now it's not set up the same. It turned off again. That needs to be desktop monitor, needs to be to monitor only, but you guys can hear. Okay, let me play that intro again. Let me know. Hey, thanks, Mag. There, tell me if you think that the or like when you go to a restaurant and they say, would you like some freshly ground pepper on your salad? No, I'd like day old if you've got it. Why do I need to hear you say freshly ground? You know, yeah, those are the kind of comments I never really understood. You know, was it just to be polite or? All right, let me try that intro again. Here we go. Listen.
This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
Yeah, it doesn't though. It doesn't make it sound more delicious. Alright, anyways, is that one doubling up? That doesn't do it? Okay, cool. Alright, so I don't know what the deal is. It's not saving that one. Now I'm going to have to try to remember that one little setup. That sucks. Man, are you kidding me? It's always, they're the same. Okay, so no more echoing. Alright. Awesome. So what's going on, everybody? It was a pretty good roundtable, an actual panel. You know, like when you see panels on YouTube, and most of the time when people do panels, it's just an absolute shit show of people sitting still, yapping over the top of each other. But it was on John Lorden's channel. It had Stephanie Harlow, John Lorden, two other, I think it was LA Not So Confidential. They were on our podcast that we did too. And then I think Turney was on there. The Sarah Turney. She's got an interesting case with her father, and her sister went missing a long time ago. Anyways, if you listen to it, it talks about a lot of the stuff I've brought up on here many times about how things are out there. Anyway, I was so pleased to hear that they think the same thing. And so when I'm bashing YouTubers, I probably shouldn't do it, but they were referring to exactly those same types on that show. So if you listen to it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's a YouTube video, though. All right. Thanks, Bush and Beach Lifestyle. Oh, look at that. There's Claudia Neubauer. Thank you, Claudia. Very kind, very kind. Yeah, the whole thing was about how, there's just people, a lot of these newer YouTubers and these people have made the genre a little bit in question by people because they just put out absolute trash and wildly speculate on all kinds of things, and that causes a problem. If you're in the true crime genre, you should be doing, try to be as factual as possible and speculate sort of minimally on the facts that you have, right? Thank you.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
That's the Claudio one. Hey, thank you. I don't know. Yeah, that's the first thing you think of, C. Strick, when you get here. You said you haven't been here in a long time, and then you ask that question. It's pretty strange, actually. It's a pretty strange question you just ask. You seem like somebody that's actually been around. Let's see. Well, I haven't commented in ages. And I'll pretend that I've been watching, I just haven't commented. But I'm going to ask a question about something that's been answered over a year ago. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there's people that aren't here anymore, everybody. There's people that show up. They come here. There's like for example, I'll mention her name, Kubi. She's not here anymore. She decided to be a moderator on another channel of true crime and likes the attention that she's getting on that channel. She's mentioned every 2 seconds by the person, and I think she's probably enjoys that. Okay, so that's what it is. I didn't want her on my channel because if you're a moderator on my channel in the true crime genre, you should be supporting my channel only. Not, and when I say that, I mean by being a moderator. You shouldn't be a moderator on other true crime channels. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So she's not here. Jim Nething isn't here. He just, people didn't like because people were complaining about the excessive hellos and so forth. Okay, he's not here. So it just is what it is, you know. People don't always stay on a channel every second of their, you know, forever. I mean, I'm glad that I have people like, you know, there it is. Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal. Stacy, everybody. Jennifer is always here. Claudia Neubauer. You know, Zozo, Sarita. I mean, I'm not going to list everybody's name because you'll say, oh, you forgot me. Okay. There's a million of you that are here all the time. Yeah, it's not really, I don't really call it cheating. It's just disrespectful. I think it's very disrespectful to be a moderator on a true crime channel that's been putting in as much work, especially that I put in on my channel, and then have you go over to another channel and be a moderator on that channel. You know, it's and the it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so you know, I just made her not a moderator anymore. Hope that's okay.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want.
And then she's not here, right? So then she decided not to be here. I didn't ever tell her or email her or converse with her and tell her not to be here. So I don't want people asking about that any longer. It's getting ridiculous. I mean, if that's the only reason you're watching, then you should go watch another channel she's on, because my God, it's so interesting. Yeah, cool.
Chewbacca?
Well, thanks, Mag.
Chewbacca if you want me to.
I'm here.
Thanks, C. Strick and Lori Staggs. There you go. Right. So I think if everybody would go listen to that, it's about an hour and 20-minute long panel. It's actually very interesting, and it was very, it was 100% accurate. That's exactly the truth. Okay, and I'm going to try to do some of the stuff that they mentioned, though, which is regarding trolls. Okay. So I'll be trying to work on that a little bit. Man, look at that. Every single person commenting is either a moderator or a channel member. Yeah. Yeah. When were you here before, C. Strick? I don't remember. I mean, did you have a different name before, or what? Yeah, I mean, don't watch it right now, but if you want to, you go ahead. I'm gonna do my show regardless, okay? Okay. Huh? I think I did what? Oh, you had a different name? That was like 2 years ago, C. Strick. I mean, literally, that was a long time ago. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to get on to the cases now. We got a lot of stuff to go through. I got update ones, too, like the quicker ones. Then we'll get on to Schnee Oberholtzer that we talked about. Might be some breaking news this coming week. All right, so there's a 1980 cold case here. It's just crazy. There's almost zero coverage on it. Jennifer Lynn Wyant. And this is in Tennessee. Hey, all right. Yes, donation night's coming up on the 28th. And I'm going to try to, I've already put in 600 this month, but I'm going to try to do another 2,000. And that would be our record. Yeah. So Jennifer Lynn Wyant, this is all I could find, really. There were some references to her, but more like, they're looking into this person for doing something to this person.
I'm getting a head start donation night.
Well, thank you, Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal. The longest name in YouTube history. All right, Jennifer Lynn Wyant disappeared from her home at the Tanglewood Apartments on Harding Place, June 28, 1980. Her car was still in the complex parking lot. Foul play is suspected. I wonder if that's still there. Let's see. Harding Place. Ah, look at that. Nashville, Tennessee. It's got to be the same one, right? And Tanglewood. I wonder if that's what those are right there. Tanglewood Apartment. Hey, JK, thank you very much. Wow. That's not been pretty good. Can't complain. Did it again. JK and Cindy Lee. Just crazy people. Yeah.
Huzzy, I caught a break. How's the week been? What's up, freaks?
Not too bad. I think this is it right here. This is it's on Tanglewood Court. Yeah, the week's been great. You know, other than the trolls that show up on the Delphi case every single night. But
No crazy girl code here, just crazy people.
yeah, this is Tanglewood Drive right here. Hey, thanks, Craig Andrews. Hey, and there's Dennis Stewart. Yeah. So I think this might be those apartments. Makes sense too, because it's on the right road, and it's on the name of the road is Tanglewood Court. So I'm pretty sure that the apartments maybe used to be called that, and then somebody changed it at some point. So these are the apartments she lived in, and then all there is a article that came out today. I couldn't find a damn thing other than references, to her in different articles. So let's play this. And when I say reference, it'd be like, well, they're looking into Joe Smith for the possible abduction of, Wyant way back when, but there was nothing about the case itself.
It is a mystery that has stumped law enforcement. What happened to Jennifer Wyant? She was a vibrant young woman who seemed to simply vanish 4 decades ago. In our day-long series, The Missing, News 2's Alex Dennis uncovers new information that investigators hope will breathe new life into a case that's gone cold.
I'll never forget that night hearing her name on the news and going, what? What? Did they say Jennifer Wyant? Something about not knowing. How can someone disappear in thin air?
The year was 1980, and Jennifer Wyant was excited about life.
She had moved out on her own into a nice new apartment. She was going to school at night to further her education.
Recalls Jennifer's friend and Colonial Bakery co-worker who chooses not to share her identity publicly.
She had bought a nice car. It was the black Trans Am with the big gold bird on the hood. And she parked that car across 2 spaces because she did not want anybody banging her doors.
On Friday the 27th, Jennifer and her co-workers were together. It was the last time they'd see her.
We had lunch together at Taco Bell on Nolensville Road. We talked about our weekend plans, and she said she was going to a softball party.
Then came the morning.
About our weekend plans, and she
see her.
We had lunch together at Taco Bell on Nolensville.
Let's see if that's right there. Nolensville. Second. Yeah. So that's where, yeah, it's going to be close. Oops. Shit. I bet that's got to be... No, Taco Bells never go away. There it is. That's the Taco Bell that they were at right there. You know, it's the same one. Taco Bells, I mean, they just don't disappear. So anyways, she's just talking about it. I just want to look at the... It's always kind of interesting just to look at locations. You had the apartments, then you had this one mentioned.
Bill Road was talking about our weekend plans, and she said she was going to a softball party.
Then came the morning of June 30th.
She didn't show up for work on Monday morning. This was very unusual for her.
Her parents reported her missing. Police discovered Jennifer had played in the softball game and attended the party just as she'd planned.
So you go to the softball game.
To her apartment, which was at Tanglewood Court Apartments, right off of Harding Place.
The complex now called Whispering Oaks.
Let's just see if we had that right. I can see a sign right there. That says 30, that just says 380 Harding. That's not the name of the apartments. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Whispering Oaks. There we go. So that was the right one. Okay, good.
The events that followed have never been released to the public until now. Her neighbors reported seeing a dark color 4-door sedan.
They heard some screaming, they looked out their window, and they saw 4 individuals forcing a woman into a car and driving off. We believe that that woman was Jennifer. They reported this information to the apartment security guard.
Thanks, Sue Strick. I'm just going over some quick new...
Stonehenge, where the demons dwell, where the banshees live, and they do live well.
Oh yeah, who did I used to make those jokes with? The Stonehenge thing. Oh man, I can't remember that now.
Fortunately, the security
guard
never
that,
did notify police.
Motive is still a mystery. For nearly 6 months, the case was quiet. Then on December 11th, some of Jennifer's personal property was discovered in this area. It is now known as Blue Lake Lane, but back in 1980, it looked much different.
It was an area that was being developed.
He was a contractor. They were working in that area, and they found her driver's license.
This is very close to Percy Priest Lake area.
Where's that? Blue Lake Lane. Okay. But it's kind of near a lake.
They did search the area with dogs, and there was nothing found.
And I think about her every year, and I've just never forgotten her. I had her friend disappear, actually has disappeared.
Any information, even the smallest memory, may help Detective Filter bring closure to a decades-old disappearance.
I can't believe that she has been gone for 40 years, and nobody knows anything about it. It's just crazy.
That's crazy. Alright, it's a mystery that stumped law enforcement. What happened to Jennifer Wyant? She was a vibrant young woman who seemed to simply vanish 4 decades ago. I'll never forget that night hearing her name on the news and going, what? What? Did they say Jennifer? She was 21 years old when she went missing. Just your typical young adult just starting out with life, explains Metro Nashville Police Department Cold Case Unit Detective Matthew Filter. There's just something about not knowing. How can someone disappear into thin air? Let's see. On Friday the 27th, Jennifer and her coworkers were together. It was the last time they'd see her. We had lunch together at Taco Bell. Then came the morning of the 30th. She didn't show up for work Monday morning. This is very unusual for her. She was reliable. Her parents reported her missing. Police discovered Jennifer had played in the softball game and attended the party just as she had planned. She left the party and she went back to her apartment, which was Tanglewood Court Apartments. The events that followed have never been released to the public until now. Her neighbors reported seeing a dark color 4-door sedan. And why didn't they release that, though? See, that's again like last night, just release it. They heard some screaming and looked out their window, and they saw 4 individuals forcing a woman into a car and driving off. Wow. 4 people. We believe that woman was Jennifer, Detective Filter says. They reported this information to the apartment security guard. Unfortunately, the security guard never notified the police. Well, hopefully was the ex-security guard almost immediately after that. Motive is still a mystery. It's almost something I would say is targeted. Yeah, that almost does seem like a trafficking type deal. Because, usually if it's somebody that's jilted, it's one person. 4 is strange, And she's a little older, but obviously, she's pretty. She's only 21 now, so that's crazy. They heard some screaming and looked out their window, and they saw 4 individuals forcing a woman into a car and driving off. We believe that woman was Jennifer. They reported this information to the apartment security, didn't report it. The motive is still a mystery. It's almost something I would say is targeted, that someone was looking at her for one reason or another and waiting for her to return home. But 4 people, though. For nearly 6 months, the case was quiet. Then on December 11th, some of Jennifer's personal property was discovered in an area known as Blue Lake Lane, but back in 1980 it looked much different. The housing complex, which stands now, was under development. He was a contractor. They were working in that area, and they found her driver's license. Jeez. It's very close to Piercy Priest Lake area. It's very possible that they could have taken her into the woods and dumped her body. I think about her every year. I've just never forgotten her, says her friend. I had a friend disappear, actually has disappeared, recalls Beard. I'd love to be able to get in contact with people that she was playing softball with, people that were at the party with her that night, and the security guard that worked out there. Any information, even the smallest memory, may help bring closure to a decades-old disappearance. I can't believe that she's been gone for 40 years and nobody knows anything about it. It's crazy. It's just crazy. So you can call, if anybody has any information, you can call Detective Filter at 615-862-7803. Oh, thank you, CC. Yeah, see, there's so many cases just like this one that don't really have a ton of, there's no articles about it, very little. But these could be very interesting and get the public's attention too if they would release more information. And like this article here had, I'd like to see, maybe they should release photographs and so forth.
Chewbacca?
Chewbacca?
I'll be Chewbacca
If you want me to be. Yeah, I mean, they could release photographs of the, you know, right when the ID was found, where it was found, what it looked like back then, any photos they took, and just kind of create some buzz about it. Get people talking about it. You know, maybe it puts pressure on people. I mean, there are 4 people that knew what happened, right? Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to move on to another newer case in the news here. And Las Vegas police released new surveillance footage of 26-year-old woman reported missing in December. I'm struggling finding where this was, though. Las Vegas police still are looking for missing woman Jawahar Hejji, last seen on December 22nd, 2020. The 26-year-old was reported missing on Christmas last year. Her car was located at Shaded Canyon Drive let's see. I wonder if that's supposed to be off Horizon Ridge Parkway. I bet you anything that should be off right there, right? By the Henderson Police Department. So Shaded Canyon Drive. Yeah, that's in Nevada. Yep. Yeah, so that's Shaded Canyon Drive. And then we've got the next one would be, I think it's off of Horizon Ridge Parkway. There it is. Okay, so that means it's right around in this area. I mean, this is the Shaded Canyon Drive. Huh, but it does say by the Henderson. Okay, but the Henderson Police Department found it. So that, look at this. You can just see. Let's see what's happened since then on the map. See, there still isn't much development there as of May 2020. This could have. It looks like maybe they were building a residential area here just to fill in more. But it's hard to say how much has been built because this is May. I'm sure this part here is still undeveloped. Maybe it was right there. So that's what I'll do is I'll just put her car was. I'll just get rid of that one and move this one. And so her car was found here, I guess. So it says the 26-year-old was reported missing on Christmas last year. Her car was located at Shaded Canyon Drive, south of Horizon Ridge Parkway. That's it. By the Henderson Police Department. Okay, so it wasn't drive south. It was... I just read that wrong. It was just south of, not off. But hey, it worked either way, okay? Las Vegas Metropolitan Police detectives located surveillance footage of Hedgie walking along on Armagosa Trail near the base of Black Mountain. Oh, good. Okay, so maybe this is a better description than what I had earlier. Hold on, let's see. Armagosa Trail. Trailhead, right there. What? So she parked there then. And this is the Armagosa Trailhead right there. Oh man, hold on. Now let's check it out. So it's almost like she parked her car there then. Walking along the Armagosa Trail near the base of Black Mountain. Okay, well let's see where Black Mountain is. I just realized I haven't blinked. Oh man. Okay, so this is Black Mountain. Well, let's just assume if she parked here, then, you know, it's going to be tough because there isn't really going to be street view because that hasn't been built yet. But here's pictures of her walking. So here she is. Anyone with information regarding the disappearance or whereabouts is to call 702-828-5705. So there's one image right there. And then there's this one of her walking. You know, she just out for exercise. And then they're showing that this is kind of where that is. But I don't really see anything like that. I mean, this does kind of look a little bit like that. The ground, you know. I mean, just that area. Let me look at one thing. I was looking at... There was 3 telephone poles behind in that image there. Let's see if there's anything that looks... Yeah, okay, it could be something like that. So it wasn't really a telephone pole. See right there? 1, 2, 3. And there's 3 there again, so maybe it was up... if she parked her car there, she likely parked there to go hiking. Maybe even on this trail right here. Let's see if we can discern where that is just by looking at this. But then why would there be a camera looking at her? That's crazy. I think it's going to be really tough to find that. It almost feels like those 3. So she either got one out to maybe do something to herself, or got hurt walking out there, or somebody found her out there and did something. Maybe that's it right there, that mound. No. Kind of an interesting place, though, isn't it? So they sit at the base of that. So maybe... I don't know if that's it, but something looks sort of okay about that little flat area there. Man, there's so many little spots here. I might have to go check this out. What are you talking about, Jennifer? You knew this girl and you were standing right next to her? Yeah, I wonder if it was just sort of in the middle of this. Because that does kind of look like in there, right? The construction area. Yeah, well, I think definitely it's in there somewhere. So let me move these pins into the right spot. That's not right. Yeah, maybe they put some security cameras up at the construction site. Yeah, lots of things could have happened. It's pretty it looks like a dangerous place. But anyways, they did release the surveillance footage. And, you know, maybe they need to get some tracking dogs out there. 5'8", 190. Let's see. She was last seen on 12/22 at approximately 12 o'clock. And see, here it says 9100 South Las Vegas Boulevard, but I actually think that's when she was last seen by a person, but the camera sees her, and that's not where this is. They threw me off with that. She was last seen wearing a pink hoodie, black sweatpants. So, see if we can get any information on that. Alright. And it looked like there was an update on Landry. More than 100 professional trained volunteers from Texas Search and Rescue and Austin-based first responder nonprofit will gather for a 3-day search on Friday as crews continue to look for missing Texas State University student Jason Landry. The 21-year-old was last seen in San Marcos on December 13th. Authorities said he left his San Marcos apartment just before 11 p.m. We have all this in here. And then right after this, I'm going to get to Schnee Oberholtzer. So this purple line is the route that he took. These are the different ping data locations. As he drove into this town. For some reason, he was supposed to continue on this direction to go to, I believe, this town over here. And but he didn't make that turn, and somehow when he got in this little town of Luling, he turned up this direction, and we were able to find, based off of photographs and then confirmed by somebody else, that this is where they found his car right here. It crashed into a bush, and then he went you know, who knows what he did. I could say he went wandering, but we don't know. And he just disappeared. They haven't been able to find him. But I think they need to get out and search some of these water tanks that are out here, or oil, whatever they are. Oil tanks, water tanks. Some of them are water, some are oil. There's all kinds of crazy places out here. And they just need to check every single thing out here. You know, don't leave a stone unturned. Hey, thanks, James. Appreciate it. So here we go. Get back to this. The 21-year-old was last seen in San Marcos on December 13th. Authorities said he left his San Marcos apartment just before 11 p.m. with plans to travel for the holidays to the Houston suburb of Missouri City, where his parents live, but he never made it home. His vehicle was found abandoned, the lights on, keys in the ignition, and the front passenger side door locked. So just the driver. So it sounds like, you know, he was driving and he's the one that got out of the car. And that was in the 2300 block of Salt Flat Road in Luling. Shortly after midnight on December 14th, investigators think the vehicle crashed after the driver overcorrected on the gravel road and spun out of control into a tree and a barbed wire fence. So he could have suffered a head injury and then stumbled away, did something totally strange in that condition. You know, maybe it was a little bit like Elisa Lam, you know, like She crawls up into the water tank there, and they didn't even check there. But, you know, having a head injury might have made him do something weird that seems absolutely strange, but could have been something that happened to him. And it could have been where his head got hit so hard and it caused some brain issues, but there was no open wound that created blood on the vehicle, or in the vehicle. Who are you talking about? Who's she in this case? Let's see. His vehicle was found abandoned. The lights on. Keys in the ignition. Hey, Gene, just wait till I cover the case, okay? Do you mind? Like, just let me get on to the Schnee Oberholtzer case. All right? I'm not on it yet. And you'll hear all the information, everything like that, all right? Investigators think the vehicle crashed after the drivers overcorrected on the gravel road and spun out of control into a tree and a barbed wire fencing, the Caldwell County Sheriff's Office said. Landry's cell phone was found between the driver's seat and center console. That sounds like it just got jostled into that position. Strewn along the road about 900 feet from the crash were clothing, including a shirt, shorts, socks, underwear, slide sandals, and a wristwatch belonging to Landry. See, things like that are weird. You know? And was he wearing that clothing? It's really strange. And it was probably pretty cold out there. But I can't imagine it being paradoxical undressing, right? Because he got in a wreck. It was not like he'd be that cold that quick. All right, so the wristwatch, maybe he just wasn't wearing it. And if he overcorrected and crashed, why was the clothes strewn 900 feet away when the car crashed and immediately stopped when it hit the tree? It's not like it crashed and started rolling 900 feet down the road. You get what I'm saying? So the car crashed right around in this area, you know, coming from this. He was driving in this direction, and he did something, and the car crashed right there. And then the clothing was this direction. So the clothing was out the window before, you know, like he came around this corner, oh shit, and he overcorrected this way and then tried to save it and went bang, right? So he's driving like this, and he just, at the last second, he isn't paying attention because it's dark. Let me just throw this theory out here, right? Just look what I'm looking at here. He's driving. It's very dark outside. You know how your headlights, if you don't have your brights on, you can't see very. And then he starts saying, oh my God, there's a turn. And he quickly turns the wheel hard left. And then and he's like, oh shit. And then he realizes, oh wait. And then he quickly turns the wheel right again. And then it goes right off the side of the road into a tree right here. I think we even had pictures. I can't remember if it was the back actually had some damage on it. So it spun out too. But again, why would the clothes be over here? Because all that happened after that. You see what I'm saying? So there's something very odd about this story. That all of a sudden there's clothes 900 feet from the car, but if the overcorrection happened here, clothes still, just look at how I'm going to say this. Clothes is still in the car, clothes is still in the car, clothes is still in the car, overcorrection, clothes is still in the car, clothes. Well, I don't know how clothes would have got out back here 900 feet. So all we can say is that's pretty strange, right? Yeah, the clothes is a weird thing. All right, so that's it. They're going to be doing a big search out there. I have a feeling they're going to find him in this search. If they don't find him, man, and the 900 feet away clothing kind of makes you think there's something else going on. The 900 feet away clothing already makes you think that. Unless, you know, after he got in the accident, he just grabbed a bunch of his crap, started walking, and then in this area just started really getting dizzy or whatever, threw it on the ground. Then he just starts stumbling off. You know, I even marked a tank in this area because it happened to be near where the clothing was. You know, I don't know. Maybe he was seeking shelter. You know, when you're injured and you're disoriented, your body probably goes into some primal instincts to try to find shelter and be warm, no matter what it is. You're not even thinking correctly. So maybe in this spot he was carrying clothes, just kind of, you know, out of it, just, you know, I've actually smashed my head on the ground. I was riding a bike. Hey, thanks, Claudia Neubauer. Again, thank you. I've been on a bike before, and the front tire slipped on a manhole, and then my face just went bang right into the manhole. And a lot of you might say, oh, he got a concussion. I mean, I didn't know where I was. I was just, how did I get here? What was I doing? And I knew that I just got a haircut. Later I realized, oh yeah, I got a haircut. But I was sitting there, and I walked for miles with somebody else helping me to a hospital because I didn't even know where in the hell I was. I had no clue. So I could sort of see, if you get a concussion like that you start just doing things. Yeah, maybe he just started grabbed his clothes, started walking, and just later just dropped it, and he just sort of got more and more dizzy because it was a severe injury, and he wanders off. Could be something like that. All right, let me just throw that theory out there. A drug theory doesn't really make sense either. Hey, we're a drug, whatever it is, and we're going to take this guy and we're going to throw clothes out of his car and leave a breadcrumb trail right to his vehicle. And we're going to leave his car right there where it crashed. Or maybe he was being chased. Okay, well, and you could say that they got to his car, they looked through his stuff, and just threw it out 900 feet away. I don't know, James. You know, all those claims and everything. I'm going to believe the dad. Okay, I'm going to believe the dad on this one. So, all right, everybody. I am going to switch over right now to Schnee Oberholtzer, but I'm going to take a quick break for a second. All right, and I'll play some of your favorite music. All right. There we go with the rap music. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Yes, everybody hit that like button. Also hit the like, share, and subscribe. You know, hit the like button, share it if you'd like, and also hit the subscribe button or become a channel member so you can have access to all of our cool emojis that we have. I've extended the lowest tier for, you know, how about, well, I'm going to try to extend it until everybody, how about this? I'll extend it to the moment that everybody is eligible to get the shots, okay? That's what I'm going to do. So when everybody's eligible to get the vaccine, that's the moment where, hallelujah! I think that sounds like a good plan. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing the, just sometime during the day, maybe like 1 or something, I'll do a show where we go over the poems that people wrote, because I got to go on and have a regular show later. And then I'll create a community post for channel members, and then you guys can all vote on who the winner is. And you know, maybe I'll just do a poll, because I'll pick the, maybe during the show we'll just kind of agree on who the top 5 are, something like that, and then we'll have a poll where you literally there's votes, okay? But you'll have to be on the show to even know who to vote for, because you wouldn't have heard it. All right, so if you didn't watch the live stream tomorrow, then you probably shouldn't vote. But it's going to be a live stream for just channel members and a voting for just channel members, but the winner could have been anybody. It doesn't have to be a channel member. All right? You know, like even LM could win. She's not a channel member. I thought you used to be one, though. I don't remember what happened. But okay, here we go, everybody. So keep in mind, there could be some breaking news next week on this case we're about to go over. And that is the Annette K. Schnee and Barbara Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer. It's hard to say that when I always want to put an L after, like Oberholtzer, you know, but it's Oberholtzer. All right. So I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to go back in time. I found some newspaper articles. Interesting, I couldn't find any articles in Colorado for some reason. But I think her hometown in Wisconsin, perhaps. I think that might be her hometown. But this is Barbara Oberholtzer. Let's see, so she is from there. A former Racine woman who was known to hitchhike to work and back was found dead Thursday in the central Colorado mountains. Sheriff Norman Howie of Park County, Colorado said today. The body of Barbara Jo Oberholtzer, 29, of Alma, Colorado, was found near the summit of Hoosier Pass, an elevation of about 11,300 feet. Oberholtzer, whose maiden name was Burns, is the daughter of Dory Sartik of 2023 North Main Street and Thomas Burns of 9401 Racine Avenue. Howie said the body had no visible wounds, but added an autopsy would be held to determine her cause of death He said it did not appear the woman had been thrown from a car. Burns said the sheriff had told him a different version of the condition of the woman's body, but he said he preferred not to reveal it until it could be confirmed. He never called her Barbara, Sartic said today. She was Bobbie Jo. So she was called Bobbie Jo, not Barbara. Sartic said she last saw her daughter November 28th when she married George Sartic. So this is just not too much before, just a couple months. Sartic said the last he saw his daughter was November 28th when she married George Sartic, a local musicians union representative. I last remember her when she got off that plane for the November wedding. I realize now pretty and healthy and happy she was, Sartic said, crying. Sartic said she is divorced from Burns, who operates Tom Burns Electric Appliance Repair. Burns said he also last saw his daughter at his former wife's wedding. Wow, that's cool. At least they still got along well enough for him to go to his former wife's wedding. Mrs. Sartic said her daughter and son-in-law, Jeff Oberholtzer. Wait, hold on, let me see. He never called her. Sartic said he last saw her daughter November 20th. Oh, when she got married. Okay, never mind. Jeff is the husband of Barbara. It's when her mother got married to another man, which her ex-husband was at the wedding. So Mrs. Sartic said her daughter and son-in-law, Jeff Oberholtzer, also a former Racine resident, moved to Colorado in May of 1980. Sartic said Oberholtzer's father is Lawrence Oberholtzer of 4023. So they're both, Jeff is even from Racine as well. But he lives still, I think, even now near Breckenridge there. Burns said today Jeff operates Alpine Appliance Company in Alma. Yeah, I mean, that Alma's near there. Well, when I say near, I mean, within 15 miles or 20, something like that. If my memory's right. Well, we'll see all this in a little bit. Sheriff Howie said Oberholtzer's fully clothed body was found about 3:30 p.m. Thursday. So this is Friday the 8th. Thursday would have been the 7th. Found at 3:30 p.m., but she went missing the night before, on the 6th. Her father said a cross-country skier who happened to be a friend of the Oberholtzers discovered the body. So that's pretty interesting that somebody was just skiing down there and happened to see. And somebody that knew her and Jeff. According to Howery, Oberholtzer was last seen between 7:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. Wednesday. Burns said Barbara had called her husband. This part's pretty devastating. Called her husband at 6 p.m. from a lounge near the realty company in Breckenridge, Colorado, where she worked as a secretary, and said she was with friends and had a ride home. I think her husband even said, "Hey, can I give you one? Do you need a ride?" Jeff said, "Do you need a ride?" And she says, "No, I have a ride home." But she didn't really have a ride home. She was hitchhiking, as she always does. When she failed to return home, Burns said today, her husband reported her missing to authorities. Burns said friends, neighbors, and law officers began a search. Breckenridge is located in Summit County, which is adjacent to Park County. However, said Oberholtzer hitchhiked often. Everybody saw her hitchhiking all the time, Howery said. Yeah, I mean, nobody hitchhikes anymore. If you hitchhike now, you're an idiot, okay? That's just the truth. Figure out a different way to do something. Hey, thanks, Zozo. Sartic said that her daughter's last letter to her sister, Lori Burns of 3425 Spring Street, she had expressed concerns about the number of strangers in the area. Because of the heavy snow and skiers, she said there were a lot of strangers, Sartic said. She had told me she hitchhiked, but it wasn't too unusual to do that out there. She said everybody did it. Yep, Yeah. And actually, I think that's why they chose, the killer chose that area, is because it was a very likely place that people would hitchhike from. Right in the resort town, and they just need to get somewhere else, and people would hitchhike all the time. And I was talking to Dennis, and he had a pretty good idea about that the killer probably used the cold outside as a sort of, it helped him to more easily get somebody to get into his car. It's like somebody's waiting outside to hitchhike, it's below freezing outside, they're standing there, you pull up, hey, do you need a ride? Oh, sure, yeah, get in, that's nice and warm, and and so that makes sense. You might be a little bit more discerning at who you would pick on a sunny day, right? It's located about 85 miles south. Let's see, the Park County Sheriff's Department is located in Fairplay, Colorado, which is located about 85 miles southwest of Denver. Fairplay has a population of about 400, Howie said. He said the tourist trade was heavier in Summit County than in Park County, but most tourist traffic passed through Park County to get to Summit County. Howie said there had not been a murder in Fairplay in 2 years. Sardik said her daughter owned a horse and raised finches in Colorado. She said her daughter and Jeff had attended Park High School here together. All right. And then on January 11th, 3 days later, an autopsy revealed that a former Racine woman found dead in the Colorado mountains last Thursday had been shot through the chest, an investigator for the Park County, Colorado Sheriff's Department said today. The death of Barbara Jo Oberholtzer, or Bobbie Jo, she's 29, was being investigated as a murder, according to Tom Flores, the Park County investigator working the case. Oberholtzer is the daughter of Tom Burns. We already got that part. Let's see. He said it appeared the woman had been shot where she was found, near the summit of Hoosier Pass in the central Colorado mountains, an elevation of about 11,300 feet. He said the autopsy showed no sign she had been sexually abused. Right now we're thinking the motive may have been robbery. Nah, no thanks. He said it was believed Oberholtzer may have had only $2 on her when she disappeared about 8 p.m. Wednesday off Highway 9. I mean, robbery could always be a secondary thing. I just don't think that has anything to do with what this guy was doing. Oberholtzer was last seen about 8 p.m. Wednesday hitchhiking south on Highway 9. So yeah, I'll just show you guys where this is. So let me get there. Yeah, so here is the pub area where she was drinking with work friends. This is Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer, 7:50 p.m. She's over here having drinks with co-workers. I think she just got a promotion or something like that. And they were having drinks. Her husband was going to pick her up, and she probably came out to around one of these areas, like right here, because you get traffic from here and there, somewhere around in that area, to hitchhike for a ride, and was picked up. And this is where a hitchhiker corner, this is where very possibly could have been picked up too. This is where Dennis mentioned, I think when he was on my show a while back. So it could have been like right in this area, or it could have been right here. That's kind of a long walk to get there, but hey, thanks LM. So let's say she was picked up right there, and her body was found right here. And so that's what's crazy, is that person was skiing around in this area through these woods and found her body those cross-country skiers. And if you go down to Street View right in this spot, that's how I'm 100% sure. I found the spot before I even knew that the sign was there. But you can see the, let's see, where is that? There it is, right there. See, there's the cross that was put up for Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer, right there. Flores said Oberholtzer was last seen about 8 p.m. Wednesday hitchhiking south on Highway 9. So that's the direction I just showed you. And she was going to be hitchhiking to where she lives in Alma. So it might be further than what I was thinking. Let me just do a rough, put miles on there. Oh yeah, so it's not far actually. This is only, well, that's where she was found. Hold on. The whole distance probably is like 8 or 9 miles. Now it's 13.75, but probably 15 driving. So almost about 15 miles from where she was picked up. She was found about 8 miles in, right here. Okay. So there's a little. This is what it appears. It appears that they pulled into here, and that she got out of the car and ran, and was caught in this area and shot. Okay, that's what it appears. Let me go back to the article. I just gave you a little extra information before we got there, but her body was found by friends of the family about 1 p.m. Thursday, according to authorities. Oberholtzer had worked at an investment firm in Breckenridge and recently had been promoted, there you go, to office manager, according to relatives. Oberholtzer's mother-in-law disputed reports that Oberholtzer ever hitchhiked or accepted rides. Nah, you can dispute that, but every single other person doesn't. Unless somebody walked up to her and put a gun in her ribs and told her to get in a car, she never would have gone with strangers. But that's counter to what everybody else says, so I don't agree with that. Earlier reports had said Oberholtzer called her husband last Wednesday night from a lounge near her office and told her she was with friends and had a ride home. Flores said today the woman left the lounge alone when the friends decided to stay longer. So that means she didn't really have a ride, right? Flores said the woman was last seen outside a convenience store in an area where between 50 and 75 people stand hitchhiking from Breckenridge to Alma. So that's probably that spot that Dennis pointed out. But that's kind of a ways, though, you know. Let me just look at that. You know, I don't know if that's a. It seems like it'd be a little strange to walk that far. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's a place that you could hitchhike, but let me just see how far that is. Does that make sense in a really cold night to walk from here? Yeah, it's 0.36 miles. It's kind of a ways to be moving around. But I guess, it could be that spot. Maybe this is the store there and people would wait right there. And maybe if you walk through here, it's not really that far. But, and they must know the spot. So this is where Dennis, I believe, it's Hitchhiker's Corner. So this is where I think he explained it. So it was probably right here in this area. So, and she was seen there. And it's kind of interesting that that's in this article. I don't even think that's in some of the later ones. Early reports had said Oberholtzer called her husband. Okay, we got that part. The woman was last seen outside a convenience store in an area where between 50 and 75 people stand hitchhiking from Breckenridge to Alma. Wow. So, man, if there was really that many people standing there, then that means that she was just really unfortunate that, you know, everybody else is fortunate and she's unfortunate. I mean, if there really was 50 to 75 people standing there and there was probably a lot of other women, it was just whoever got into that car. No one, and obviously a killer like that that's pulling up, they don't get to choose, you know. They just sort of, well, they sort of choose maybe, you know, the gender, probably pull up next to a gender, but they don't get to force you into the vehicle. You get in, and I think, like I've said before, that's why serial killers now they target sex workers, because they get into your car without knowing you willingly. And that's what hitchhikers used to do, but they don't do that anymore. So the only people that really do that now are sex workers. No one had good reason to make a mental note that she was taking a ride, because so many people hitchhike from that spot. I don't think I've ever actually heard this part before. Maybe I did, I just don't remember. Relatives here said I must have, because I have that pin there. Relatives here said they were told Oberholtzer had struggled with her attacker, but Flores said any evidence that she may have struggled or tried to run had been obliterated by a snowplow. Well, that's not necessarily true. He also said it was unfortunate that friends and neighbors who aided in the search for Oberholtzer after she was reported missing destroyed valuable evidence by picking it up. Wonder what that was. Flores said there are several clues, one being Oberholtzer's blood-stained glove, and that is a big deal, found by her husband about 16 miles from where her body was found. Our supposition is that it was thrown out of a car. Yeah. Okay, well they said 50 to 75 in the article. Yeah, so okay, if there was less then okay. Probably why there was not very many people seeing them either. You know, this article here has information that isn't really in some of the other... I didn't remember some of this stuff. And February, a detective working on the January slaying of former Racine woman in the Colorado mountains today said he has little evidence to help lead him to the woman's assailant. There's not a whole lot to go on, said Tom Flores, a Park County, Colorado investigator. Among those trying to solve the shooting death of Barbara Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer, 29. And then he said her body was found January 7th near the summit of Hoosier Pass. Oberholtzer worked as a secretary in Breckenridge. She was seen January 6th hitchhiking home after having stopped at a Breckenridge lounge with friends. And, you know, having a drink or something, a few drinks, you got a buzz, so your inhibitions go down a little bit. So she probably got into, wasn't as discerning again as she would have been. We have no leads to follow, he said today. We have 5 vehicles described to us by people who saw her get in, everything from a pickup, to a Honda Civic, where she was hitchhiking from almost a bus stop for people going from Breckenridge to Alma, Fairplay, Colorado areas. He said 5 Colorado police agencies are working to solve the murder, and 4 investigators have been assigned the case full-time. A motive has not been determined. Oberholtzer was the daughter of Thomas Burns, 9404 Racine Avenue, and Dory Sartik of 2023.5 North Main Street. Yeah, now here's just 4 days after that. Native of Sioux City missing in Colorado. I kind of think that police were already putting this together just because of the date that they know that Schnee went missing, but they had no evidence at all at this time. But you kind of wonder if they were, wow, 2 people disappeared on January 6th. So this is Schnee now, Annette K. Schnee. And she actually reminds me of Baba that was in here a minute ago. She looks very similar in some images, the ones I've seen. All right, Annette K. Schnee, a native of Sioux City, has been missing from her home near Breckenridge, Colorado since January 6th. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Laurel Franklin of 3516 Correctville Road and a 1978 graduate of East High School. Schnee was reported missing January 7th by her roommates after she failed to return to her home in the Blue River Estates subdivision. This article is from Sioux City, Iowa. So that's where she's from, I think. Let's see. So she was reported missing January 7th by her roommate after she failed to return to her home in the Blue River Estates subdivision from her work at Breckenridge. Schnee was last seen. Man, look at this crazy spacing they put in here just to make it fit. Schnee last was seen at Breckenridge on the afternoon of January 6th at about the same time as another woman who subsequently disappeared. Okay, so the newspapers are putting, they're relating it. I'm sure the police are doing the same thing. The body of the other woman, Barbara Oberholtzer of Alma, Colorado, was found January 7th in a ditch on the Park County side of Hoosier Pass. She had been killed by a gunshot wound in her chest. Sergeant Dave McKessel of the Summit County Sheriff's Department said the 2 cases have not been linked together. Oh, there you go. Even though the times of the woman's disappearance can be set close together. So they haven't been linked yet, but they're obviously thinking about it. Anyone who has information concerning... Okay, I'm not going to read that part because those numbers probably aren't any good. And let's see. Fishermen find body of ex-Sioux City girl. So the same woman, Annette K. Schnee, and I can't find it, Dennis, but, Dennis, he went down to the crime scene. I can't find those videos for some reason. I don't know. I can't even find the show that you were on. Did I make it private or something? I can't remember. Have you ever watched the show that you were on recently, where you sent me the video and I played all of your clips? I just need to find that. Anyways, the body of Annette K. Schnee, a former Sioux Cityan who had been missing from her Breckenridge, Colorado home since January 6th, was found last Saturday near Fairplay, Colorado. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Laurel Franklin of 3516 Correctionville Road, said Colorado authorities told them the body was found in Sacramento Gulch near Fairplay by 2 fishermen. It's weird too, because if you're fishing in... oh, you haven't seen it? The 2 fishermen are... Hey, let me ask you this. Did you send that to me on a thumb drive? Or how did you send me those clips, Dennis? Was it a thumb drive? No, Zozo. Let me just communicate with them. I'm trying to... It's what he actually videotaped himself, or digitally recorded himself, all around the town. Okay, it was a thumb drive. Okay, I'll see if I can find that one of these days. All right. Okay, spokesman at Summit County Sheriff's Department at Breckenridge said there are no suspects in the case, but apparently is related to the death of another woman whose body was found January 7th. So now they related them. And the reason they related them is, I'll just throw you out that part, is there was an orange sock found on Schnee, and I think it was an outer sock, if I remember you guys saying it right. Your theory was that she had 2 pairs of socks on, sort of this long striped pair. We'll get to see those in a little bit, and then an orange sock on the outside. They were found with Schnee, one of them was, and then one of the orange socks was found in that parking area where Oberholtzer was found. So they know that her sock is in, one of her socks is in both locations, and they were then at that point they made the connection and linked the 2 cases. All right. That woman, Barbara Oberholtzer of Alma, Colorado, had been killed by a gunshot wound in the chest. Both women had been reported missing about the same time last January, although it is not thought that they knew each other. You know, he must have killed Annette and drove absolutely straight back to Breckenridge. You know, because she went missing earlier in the evening, but it wasn't like way before, you know. It was, man. Another random comment by Gene. Had nothing to do with anything. Both women had been reported missing about the same time last January, although it is not thought they knew each other. The Franklins said they were told by Colorado authorities that Annette had been shot in the back. So, you know, you got 2 women that were both shot. Identification of the body was made through medical and dental records supplied by the Franklins. Schnee was reported missing January 7th by her roommates after she failed to return to her home in the Blue River Estates subdivision from her work at Breckenridge. Schnee graduated from Sioux City East High School in 1978. The body was taken to Brown Runyon Stevenson's funeral home. Okay, that's the memorial service there. And then 1984. Oh, yeah. They actually tried to assign Henry Lee Lucas, the clearinghouse of all cases, to that one. Can you believe that shit? I mean, last night, who would think? But last night I covered 2 cases that both were assigned to Henry Lee Lucas. And then I forgot and didn't even remember that this case was also, they were probably trying to figure out a way to do it. I mean, my God, what a joke. The whole Henry Lee Lucas thing should be a blight on law enforcement. Just not the entire law enforcement, but in Texas, but it should be something that was always remembered that happened. There should almost be a holiday for it, but a negative one. Yeah, so this is where she was found, right here. So there's a cross in this area too. Is it down below where she was found, or up at the top? I don't think there's even there's no street view here. I know Cairo and it was on this road, and Dennis was walked down here too, but it was right down here. She was found in the water down here. And it's weird too, because it wouldn't be a stream that you would think fishermen would go fishing at, because it's so little. But in Colorado, there's fish everywhere. So, you know, I could see, if I was a kid, I'd probably do it. And I guess some of these have a little bit more, but this shot right here is from October 2017. That's a little clearer, that one. Yeah, October 14th, 2017. Alright, and then we're going to move to 1991. Unsolved Mysteries covered the case. So a film crew actually went out there, and I guess there's an episode with Stack on it, you know, what's his face, that of this episode. I think I've seen it, actually. Alright. Now here's this. I did find that website again. It seems like it's changed, but here's the one. This is kind of like the basic website on this case. It's really, I think it's great for just how much information's on this little tiny page. That helps out. This is what I think got Dennis started with photos and whatnot. So here we go. On the night of, that means the bullets are out there though. That's the crazy part. Is I think you should get a, what they need to do is get a like 500 people with metal detectors and just travel around. They know the angles of the bullets and just get out there and find it. It's out there. Okay? The bullet's out there, and it's also the where Annette K Schnee was found. I think that location, they should easily be able to find the bullet. Although, you could make a case that because of all the rocks there, if it went through and through, it could ricochet off a rock and go a long ways out there. Because I think it's a downhill and then kind of flat after that. On the night of Wednesday, January 6, 1982, temperatures fell to 20 below on the snow-covered 11,500 feet Hoosier Pass that connects the ski resort community of Breckenridge in Summit County and the bedroom communities of Alma and Fairplay in Park County, Colorado. This was the night that Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer and Annette Schnee were murdered under cover of darkness and desolation. Hoosier Pass has long been a commuting route for those living in Park County and finding jobs in Summit County. There is no record that Bobbie Jo and Annette knew one another, but each was likely hitchhiking separately southbound on Colorado Highway 9 towards the pass. Yeah, let me go back up here. Where did I don't know if I ever got the spot where Annette lived. That's one of the things I never really had. Maybe it'll come up in here basically. Let's see. Towards the pass, heading home at the end of the workday on the bitter cold January night, the pass became a sprawling death scene for two young local women. Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer's body was found first at approximately 3 p.m. on Thursday, so the following day in the afternoon, and actually pretty close to it getting dark outside. According to evidence found at the scene and elsewhere, 29-year-old Bobbie Jo may have, Bobbie Jo have been Bobbie Jo tried to fight her attackers and run for her life. So there you go. May have tried to fight off her attacker or attackers. I think there was just one person. I don't think there was two people. And run for her life. Plastic wire ties were found on her wrist, too, suggesting that someone attempted to bind her before she was finally shot to death. The body was found 20 feet off Highway 9, approximately 300 feet south of the Hoosier Pass Summit parking lot. Additional items belonging to Bobbie Jo, including backpack, bloody glove, a Kleenex, were found on January 7th, scattered across South Park. Yeah, so her license was found way up here. So Annette's body was found way down here. Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer was found right there. And you can see the killer drove down here and then was heading out of town, dumped out her backpack, glove, and Kleenex. The Kleenex and glove had blood on them. The Kleenex, we know that was tested for DNA. And we know that they were doing DNA research recently because our buddy Dennis had a last name of somebody that was sort of in a tree they were looking at. Okay? And he told us that. So we know that they were doing that kind of work. That's okay. You mean where Annette lived, Dennis? Okay, so you're saying it's Quandary Road? Let's see. Alright, there you go. So Quandary Road, and then 0.6 miles up Range Road. Well, it's probably just easier to put Range Road. Okay, so this becomes Range Road right here, right? So like right there? That look about right there? Or maybe this one? I mean, either way, it's just getting it close is good. So somewhere around in this area. Okay, right there, okay. I wonder if they have Street View on there. Nope. Didn't think they would. Okay, yeah, so she was even closer. Wasn't far at all. Man, she didn't have... her ride's like 4 miles at the most. I mean, it's nothing. Or maybe 6, I guess. So, let's see. Bobbie Jo key ring with hook on it she had. Her husband gave it to her. He said he gave it to her for maybe protection or something. Left glove and a hat. Plastic wire ties. What do you think ever happened to the right glove? Backpack and partial contents. Oh, there it is. Right glove and tissue. So they were just found spread apart. And then driver's license, alright. So there's the little key ring that she had right there. That's the left glove and hat. So it's matching set here. And then, see the red glove? It has blood stain on it. Now these little holes right here are probably where they, possibly cut out for DNA sampling. But that's a pretty big spot there of blood right there. That whole area is blood smeared, and I think they determined that that blood did not belong to Bobbie Oberholtzer. So she probably did something to the perpetrator and made him bleed, and that's why there was a Kleenex with blood on it. And then he had this car full of, obviously it seems like her gloves and hats and things like that would have had to be off when she was in the car. Did she take those things off because it was warm now and she didn't need to keep it on, or was she told to take those off? We don't know, but she did have to put a zip tie. There was one zip tie on her hands, and as Dennis says, it's probably likely, by looking at these, that one of them was on, and before... it looks like this one was tightened to a point where you wouldn't be able to get your wrist through it, and only one was on her wrist. So maybe it's possible that it looked like it was on her wrist and he tried to tighten it, but it was really just in the middle of her hand or something, and then she pulled it out. But he thought he was tightening it on her wrist at that point. And so she only had it on one hand, and then she made a break for it, probably at that parking area, and made a run down towards the area where the or she was killed. But yeah, I mean, this one right here is closed too much. I think these are inches, so you'd have, that one's about 1, 2. It's hard to say 2 because when you're looking at this, we don't know what was done when the evidence was collected. Did somebody, like this one here was probably cut off of her, that's why they taped it back together. Hopefully that's in the exact position it was in. Was this really in that exact position when it was found, or did somebody fiddle with it a little bit? You know, people do weird things, you know, when they collect evidence. Hopefully that is what it was, and that means something, because it was only on one of her wrists. So it would make sense that the one that was closed more never made it onto her wrist. And it was pulled tight. I don't think that she did it. I don't think that she pulled it off. Like, I don't think she went, oh, and tightened it just so he wouldn't put it on. I think she probably, he had it on her wrist, and just as he was tightening, and she was pulling her hand out because it wasn't tight yet, and then he pulled it tight and it was on her fingers basically, and then she pulled those out and got the hell out of there. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's kind of interesting though. Like, did she grab her other glove though? So the other glove was maybe in her pocket, right? And it fell out when she was running, maybe, or she had it in her hand, but she couldn't find the other one. Maybe. It's pretty interesting. So the tie was on the left wrist, okay. And then you just said left glove and hat found off, but near the body. Her glove, or was the glove on her hand when the zip tie was put on? But I think what happened, I think the zip tie, I don't think she thought about it and pulled on it to make it tight. I think he tried to put it on her wrist. It was probably over her wrist, but then she quickly was able to start moving her hand, and as he was tightening it, it was around her, basically her fingers or in her thumb, you know, the middle of her thumb, and she was able to pull out, if that's what happened. Because that's just assigning too much thinking going on when it's just a struggle to get the hell out of your car. All right, let me get to the this part right here. All right, so it says Bobbie Jo last known stop in Breckenridge, Colorado was at approximately 7:50 p.m. on Wednesday, January 6, 1982, leaving the Village Pub. Bobbie worked in an office in the same building and was celebrating a promotion. And don't forget, everybody, we're keeping up the momentum for the end of the month, where we're going to be, we've already donated 600, we're going to do 2,000 likely. Maybe more, but 2,000 is the goal. That'll be our record, 2,600. Yeah? What happened? Who's Mary? What's wrong with you guys? You guys arguing? Hey LM, how about you just focus in, like pay attention to the show, you know, like who cares what's going on in there? Thanks, Claudia Neubauer. Yep. So Bobbie's body was found at approximately 3 p.m. the following day. She was celebrating a promotion. She was then seen alone near the Mini Mart about 100 yards from the pub entrance, hitchhiking southbound. I had it more like 300 yards when I measured that. God, that almost seems like it's somewhere else, because that's where the pub was, right? And it's 100 yards would be right over here, right at that intersection. To me, that is a good spot too, but I don't know. They must actually know the spot, and they have it right there. But this right here makes more sense to me visually. It's right in the middle of town. Yeah, you could just. Thanks, Rita Schaefer. Look how happy that person is. And Mag. Thank you. Okay, Bobbie Jo was last known to stop in Breckenridge, Colorado. Her last known stop was at approximately 7:50 on Wednesday, January 6, 1982, leaving the Village Pub. Bobbie worked in an office in the same building and was celebrating a promotion. She was then seen alone near the Mini Mart about 100 yards from the pub entrance. Okay, we've got that part. Let me just measure the thing that I'm looking at. Well, it's 200 yards. They make it sound like it's right around in here. Bobbie's body was found at approximately 3 p.m. the following day, Thursday, January 7th, 1982, near the summit of Hoosier Pass, approximately 10 miles south of Breckenridge. Bobbie was found face up 300 feet south of the parking lot at the top of the pass and 20 feet off the southbound lane on Highway 9 down a snow embankment. The pass was covered in deep snow, which had been plowed along the sides of Highway 9. It was a very cold night, about 20 below, and it may have been snowing. Yeah, that was before global climate change. We had to change it from global warming to climate change because there was always these cold periods that we couldn't explain, so we changed it to global climate change instead of global warming. I always liked that maneuver. That was pretty cool. I'm not saying there isn't a global, some sort of a warming going on, but it was funny how it was global warming, and then there was these really cold moments, and they go, wait, we can't really explain that. Okay, global climate change, everybody. Yeah, it was 20 below back then. Death resulted from a gunshot wound to the chest with a second grazing wound to the right breast, and the shooting appeared to have occurred at the location where the body was found. Evidence indicated that Bobbie was shot at close range of 1 to 2 feet. Evidence at the scene indicated that Bobbie may have gotten out of the suspect's vehicle at the top of the pass, yep, right where that parking lot is. Her key ring with a metal hook defensive weapon made for her by her husband was found in the parking lot at the summit. So, maybe she used that. It doesn't sound like there was any blood evidence on the hook, though. But, being out overnight, maybe just, who knows, jeez. And blood doesn't always get on something, it just doesn't. It'd be great if it did, but like if you punch somebody in the face with that metal hook, it might not have blood on it because the nose would start bleeding after the connection. So let's say she grabbed the hook, hit her in the nose with it, hit this person in the nose with it, and then blood started gushing out of his nose. Well, the hook doesn't have any blood on it at that point, right? So maybe it was used for something like that. And that would have been her right hand, and maybe she was right. If she was right-handed, she could have got a really good punching with that thing. Bobbie may have run downhill along the road approximately 300 feet and was possibly again confronted by the assailant. She then seems to have gone over the snow embankment towards a stand of trees. So let's take a look at this. It's a pretty good write-up, really. Yeah, so you can see how there's the road and then there's these trees down the embankment. So it's right there. She then seems to have gone over the snow embankment towards a stand of trees, stopping short of the trees and retracing her tracks. So she went down and go, oh man, I got to go back up. She maybe thought she was clear of the person at this point. And she retraced her tracks a short distance. She fell onto her back and slid down the snow. So almost like she thought she may have outrun the guy, got ahead, went down the bank, and then turned around to go back up the bank, and then boom. I mean, she was just shot, right? Or there was a bullet that missed her, I guess, at one point, too. The snow and the weapon used was a .38 or a .357 handgun using a Remington Peters copper-jacketed, hollowed point bullet. Man, those are meant to just... Hollow points are meant to just create a lot of damage. The weapon has not been recovered. A pair of 18-inch plastic tie wraps were found on one wrist, suggesting that someone had attempted to bind her. Also on January 7, items from her backpack purse were located approximately 20 miles from the crime scene along the southeast side of U.S. Highway 285, and these items, I believe, were found by the husband. And one of the things, see, the husband is somebody that was always accused of being, Jeff Oberholtzer was always being accused. And one of the things that made him interesting, and for a good reason made him interesting, was he had, I think he had the phone number or a business card or something like that of Annette Schnee in his wallet. So the other woman that was missing at the time, actually, so she's actually missing at the time that they're investigating Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer's case. So they've got this wallet and they go, oh crap, we've got the phone number of Annette Schnee in his wallet. Okay, so that made him interesting. I'm just throwing out how it was. That's how it's just the reality of the situation. But later, nobody can ever get ruled out. All right, that's the thing. Yeah. Well, he's definitely an innocent person. I think he was great. He built he actually did work that wasn't being done. He's driving around. And he found all these items, right? And he just bad luck that he probably picked her up at another time I don't remember what it was. What was the reasoning that he had her number? There was some kind of a reason for it. Yeah, he's totally innocent. Yeah. Yeah. He got screwed by circumstances. But come on, everybody at the time, that's an interesting fact, right? It's an interesting fact that this is what makes it interesting. He's associated with both. At the time, it was interesting because he was associated with both people. His wife is dead, and the other missing woman's phone number is in his wallet. So there's no real reason. But he is innocent, right? So the thing is, he had nothing to do with it. So it just kind of shows you that just circumstantial evidence. Like if that went to trial, a good attorney, a district attorney, could sell that to anybody easily. Yeah, so it was another time she was hitchhiking. Yeah. But what are the odds, right? Like, and why did he give her his number? Why did she give when he gave her a ride the other time? Why did she give him his number? So that's the thing. But a good prosecutor would just go in there, make a case, and it would sell, and he'd be convicted, and it would have been a wrongfully convicted person. That's just the way it is. It sucks. But I do understand the curiosity and the, having him looked into it first, because that's a pretty crazy coincidence. Right, so Wallet contents were scattered along the same side of US 285 with the driver's license found north of the backpack at the Hamilton Ranch. DNA testing has concluded that the source of blood on both the glove and the tissue is from the same unknown male donor. So man, they've had this tissue this whole time too. So they've got the tissue, and obviously they've been doing DNA research, because as you remember, that's when Dennis was a big time suspect. I mean, look at this guy. He's inserting himself into the case. That's what they do. They insert themselves. And look at that. He's got the same last name as part of the tree that we're working on. Oh man. Yeah, well, there's going to be some breaking news possibly next week. All right? So let's just keep our fingers crossed on that one. Oh yeah, it was Jeff's. Was that the way it was? So it was Jeff's card in her backpack, not. He didn't have it in his wallet, right? That's how it was? Okay. I haven't got to that part yet in the story. But yeah, that's right. Her card, Jeff's card was in her backpack. That makes more sense, because then he could call and say, hey, you're going to be driving by, I need a ride back. It wouldn't make any sense to have her number. Okay. That makes more sense. Wait, hold on. His card is a magnetic holder. Oh, and she took one. I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot more sense. Okay. Because it'd be weird if he had her card. Like, hey, are you around? Do you need a ride? That doesn't make sense. See, I love it when things make sense. And now that's a less nefarious story at that point. The only other thing would be if you're like, hey, what are you doing later? Get your number. But she had his number. So it was in case she needed a ride and he happened to be around. All right. But we're going over this case again because of the possible breaking news coming out next week. All right. And there's the actual cross again down there. These are some other pictures of her. DNA testing has concluded that the source of blood on both the glove and tissue is from the same unknown male donor. Man, that's just, yeah, exactly. And once we read that, I think the first time we were talking about it, because it was around the time of the Golden State Killer, we were like, yeah, get on that. All right, so here is Annette K. Schnee, and she was very pretty. Wait, you're a chimera, Dennis? Come on, have you had a bone marrow transplant? Oh man, Dennis is a chimera, everybody. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. That's what I said, Bush and Beach lifestyle. Yeah. Why don't I should have is something that just types in every single word that I say at this exact second. Yeah. Annette's last known stop. Well, here's a funny thing about Dennis is he was, he became friends after I was covering on the show, and he's got really interested in it. He actually contacted one of the detectives that worked on the case, and then he retired and he continued to work on it on his own for years. So they became friends, and he'd gone out there and hung out, and man, it was just really cool relationship he developed. And really great guy. The guy, he's 81 years old. And Dennis, you know, so they became friends. But there was a point where the guy said, you know what, I can't talk to you anymore. Your last name matches a name on the tree. I'm like, oh, shit. Poor Dennis. You know what's cool about Dennis? There wasn't even a second in my mind that a bell rang and I went, wow, man, I wonder. To me, it was just funny because we've had Dennis on here. He's a good guy. There's no way in hell he had anything to do with that. Well, that's what they said about Dennis Radar, Gray. Oh, come on. Listen. I could easily have said, I should have turned him in though and said, Dennis knows too much. Look at that. He knew the trajectory and everything. Yeah. All right, so here is the Annette K. Schnee story. Her incident. Annette's last known stop in Breckenridge, Colorado was at approximately 4:45 p.m. on Wednesday, January 6, 1982, leaving a pharmacy called The Drugstore, where she had filled a prescription. So it's crazy because only about, let's see, less than almost 3 hours later is when Oberholtzer's picked up. But imagine he had to drive all that way down there and then back up in snowy, icy conditions. Well, you never know, Dennis. Nobody said anybody got picked up on a motorcycle, though, Dennis. I guess that was your saving grace. Annette was scheduled to be at work at 8 p.m. that night at a Flipside bar. See, it's ironic how she was supposed to be back in town literally at almost the exact second that Oberholtzer was getting into a car. That's when she was supposed to be back. Her uniform was at her home and was never picked up. So think about it like this. So if we were looking at this map here, Annette was right here. I think this is the Flipside bar where she worked. The pharmacy was right here. So she was in there, and there was some girl that wanted her to buy, you know, something about cigarettes. It's totally irrelevant. But anyway, she was in there at 4:45. Obviously, she walked out and maybe came to that same spot that I think maybe they were at, but I guess this is it. She hitchhiked for a ride to go home to, you know, take a shower, clean up, put on her work uniform, and then come back to the Flipside by 8 o'clock. So she hitchhiked the ride and was supposed to make it home to her house right here, but instead he kept driving down, and her body eventually was found 6 months later right down in here. And then that killer got back into his car, drove all the way back, Highway 9 there, all the way back into Breckenridge, picked up another victim, Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer, took her, and I would imagine that this incident here was probably at 8:15 at night, but it's just pitch dark, nobody's driving around, snowing, 20 degrees below zero. And here's what's an interesting part about it. So you got Annette down here, and she was killed in her back as she probably fled down the hill, shot in the back, lands in the creek. And her body was pretty well preserved because it was very cold water, and she was in the water that whole time, believe it or not. Like, she wasn't completely decomposed or anything. And so Annette's had items with her, right? So as this killer gets back in the car and drives up Highway 9 right here, passes actually where Bobbie Jo lived, amazingly, drives up here, and he's driving up here through the Hoosier, right past the spot, which is crazy. Later on, again, he drives by the spot where he's about to kill somebody else, drives by up around these Switchbacks, a term that I learned by covering this case and having Dennis tell me what the hell it was. And then right here, he tosses out, he looks in his car and goes, oh shit, there's Annette's backpack. And he tosses it out of the car off to the side of the road. See? Because he didn't want the next victim to see other girls' items in the car, right? So he tosses out Annette's backpack in this area, drives all the way back up into Breckenridge, and, sets up shop again, waiting for the next victim. And he picks up Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer at that point. So does this make sense to everybody? Am I going over it well? Alright, so anyways, Annette was scheduled to be at work at 8 p.m. that night at the Flipside Bar in Breckenridge. Her uniform was at her home and was never picked up. She was described as a very reliable, and it was thought she may have been headed home to get... Yeah, obviously. That's absolutely obvious. Annette's body was found 6 months later on July 3rd, 1982, face down in Sacramento Creek, approximately 20 miles south of Breckenridge and 10 miles south of Hoosier Pass summit. Annette's home was approximately 4 miles north of the summit. So that might have been the moment where she got scared. As soon as they drove by where she lived, he drove by where she lived, that's when she knew something wasn't quite right. I bet you she might have even been a little bit relaxed up until he drove by where she lived. And of course you would want them to feel like that too. Casual, relaxed. And then, who knows what happened in that car. It's almost, man, you just sort of wonder what happened in that car for those other 4 miles. Because at that moment she knew something was wrong. So she had to stay in that car for 4 miles. And whatever that person told her to do, it's just something we might not ever get to know. But she had that 4 mile drive from... Yeah, so this is where Hoosier Pass Summit is, and she lived right there. So this whole ride, I would actually imagine, she said, right here, she said, oh yeah, just turn right here. Or that's actually Annette, hold on. It's north, so it's Bobbie. Actually, I got that wrong. It's Bobbie Jo is south of there. She was found, so they never made it to her house. But there must have been a moment where that ride where she felt safe, and then when he pulled into here. I got that wrong just a second ago.
Cup of coffee
Sorry about
with.
that. Hey, thanks, Cindy Lean. Yeah, Annette Schnee is the one that lived right there. So in her case, that scenario would be correct. Is when they were driving down, the first person that was killed, as they were driving down, she probably said, hey, can you turn right here? And he kept going. And she had a long drive of terror. She had this whole drive all the way down, even past where Bobbie Jo lived, and then she was alive even when they got to here, and she's shot as she's running down that hill. Okay, so Bobbie Jo, however, he pulled over here before getting to where she lives. So I wonder what was going on. What was the real reason? It seems like this is a perfect place for, during a 20 degrees below zero, it's snowing outside, to pull over into a place like this. There's no, see how it look? See all these cars right here? If there was one car there, I'd be shocked when she was there. It would only be there because it got stuck. So he pulls into here thinking, okay, this is a great place to do whatever I'm going to do. And she got out, ran, went down here where that, right, basically where the pin is where she ran to. Stopped, started coming back up, and was shot and fell backwards down the hill. That's what I was saying. If there was even one car there, I'd be shocked. Nobody's going to be there unless it was just broken down. Or all right. Okay, so Yeah, so I would say that Annette probably had a longer, terrifying ride. Because she actually, from here, all the way down to here, she knew she was in trouble. All the way from the exit that would have gone to her house, she knew she was in trouble. But you sort of wonder if Bobbie Jo caught on to something earlier. Maybe even saw that orange sock in the car. Because it just seems like it was really... something really didn't work out well here for the... I don't know. You know, I hope... that's what I hope. If they ever catch the guy... And like I said, there might be some breaking news next week. It'd be cool if there was actually... we get to hear exactly how everything went. Okay? Because there's a lot of stuff you can speculate on. And some stuff you can speculate on based on the facts. Apparently, right here in this parking lot is where there was an orange sock. And obviously that means that the orange sock probably fell down near the door, or it was on the seat probably, and just wasn't really noticed by Bobbie Jo when she got in. When she bolted out, when she slid out, it slid the... this is just my speculation. Slid the sock out onto the ground. It could have also been on the near the door and her foot kicked it out or something. But I guess if it was on the seat, the killer might have seen it because it's such a bright orange sock. Yeah. Okay, so let me get back to that article here. Sacramento Creek is very isolated mountain valley area. The temperature very cold, approximately 20 below, and it may have been snowing in the area on the night Annette disappeared. The cold air, water helped preserve the body. The fatal gunshot wound was also another .38 or .357. The bullet had not been found. It is unknown whether other shots were fired and missed. The weapon used was possibly a .38 or .357 9mm handgun, or 9mm. .38, .357, or 9mm handgun. Annette's body was fully clothed, but the clothing was in disarray. And, you know, some of that might be, I'd have to, you know, you'd have to see it really, but it could be, you know, the being in the water. Let's see. Yeah, I think Annette was, yeah, but that's just saying that people think that, you know, sometimes people are scared and they still don't just jump out of a car, right? Because you're not quite sure yet. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I hate always talking about my thing, but that one time that I've told you guys about, I had my hand on the door, but I never did jump out. And it turned out I got dropped off at my house later. But, you know, you've got your hand on the door, right? So who knows? You know, if they were driving here, things could have been fine, but things could have been fine too. And they pull over here, and she probably was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then he pulls out his gun, says, "Hey, do this, do that." We just don't know. Well, nothing actually happened. It just somebody, you know, it was like I've said before, I was driven home after basketball practice with a bunch of other kids, and the person driving me home drove past my house intentionally, even though I said I live right there. And then just a few minutes later, he turned around and drove back, but I always wonder why the hell he did that. So, you know, there's times where I think of that, because that's my only experience in my life that I felt like that. So that's really the only time I can sort of bring that up. All right. So Annette's body was fully clothed, but clothing was in disarray. Annette was found with both shoes on. See, that's what's weird. So she put her shoes on really quickly and in a hurry. And obviously she couldn't find, so Annette was found with both shoes on, but wearing one orange booty sock on her left foot and one long striped sock on her right foot. The second long striped sock was found in the pocket of her blue hooded sweatshirt. So it's like she had them in her pocket and she was like grabbing whatever came out first. I think she would have even had a left sock on her right, not that they have that, but the orange sock I think isn't, I'm not sure if it's right or left footed oriented. It could just be a generic thing, but you just put them on her feet, right? But the other orange sock, the striped socks were both found, and the orange sock was found with Annette, but the other orange sock was found near where Oberholtzer was, and that was the first really clear sign that they were connected. Then you have the gunshot caliber that was very similar. Among the items found in Annette's backpack was a photograph of a man who's never been identified. So this person right here was in her backpack. Could have absolutely nothing to do with anything. But that was in her backpack. And no, you can't see it again. So there was... I'm just kidding. All right, let me show you some of these pictures here. Items in Annette's backpack. So these are all the things that were found in Annette's backpack, the one that was tossed out on the switchback. I think it was the last switchback heading into, the last, well, there's another one here, I guess. I'm not sure if that counts as one. Well, now there's a couple more right there. So anyways, on this stretch right here, it was tossed out right there, and apparently in this picture are all the, look at Carmex, keys, some more chapstick over there, just regular stuff. The killer just saw that in his car and went, oh crap, because if he had thought about it, he would have tossed it out where she was found, right? But unless he was still digging through it to see what was in it, I guess. But yeah, maybe. Yeah, let's see. Hey, what do you think? Do you think it's possible? What about this one? What about this one, Dennis? What if he pulled over to that same spot with Annette first, and that's when she originally lost that sock? And then something, maybe he even did assault her, and then he drove her down there to kill her. Wow, I hadn't even thought of that. Because what if Annette was assaulted? And that's why her socks are off, because her pants were off and everything. And maybe he assaulted her there, and that's when a sock perhaps exited the car for some reason. And then he drove her down there to kill her and dump her body, and then he drove back up to do the same thing to Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer. I'm not saying that's the most likely scenario, but could be, because why did he stop there the second time? It's weird that he stopped in the same, I guess, you could say that that's only associated because the sock fell out of the car. It seems more likely that as Bobbie Jo exited the vehicle, the orange sock got deposited on the ground just randomly by pure luck, basically, as it turns out. And then she ran down there and was shot and killed as she tried to make her way back up. I don't think they knew each other. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking about things, related to the information. Okay, this is Bobbie Joe's backpack. So it had these items in it. And it's weird how her husband found all of her own wife's items. You know, because he was out looking. And it's amazing that he drove down that highway too. I wonder what made him think of that. That's pretty genius, really. I'm trying to find, I know that there's other pages that have most of the items here. So there's the hook that was made for Bobbie Joe there by Jeff. Or given to her by Jeff. Okay, there's the glove again with the blood stain on it. I don't think they ever showed the Kleenex. I wonder if that's what they used to determine that our buddy Dennis up there was at the scene. I guess the tissue's in here. Maybe there's just a small amount in there. And that's the zip ties again. Alright. So here's a 2015 article that was on the internet here. This is by Westworld, links in the description. It's distressing rare for cold case to heat up decades after they were committed. And when they do, as with the death of Jacqueline Gallegos, whose killer was brought to justice 20 years after her passing, the reason is often improvements in DNA technology. Officials in Summit County are taking a more old-school approach to finding the person or persons responsible for taking the lives of Annette Schnee and Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer. So this article was written before the huge DNA revolution. They've scheduled meetings, including one taking place tonight, and are seeking the public's help via website loaded with photos and information about two Colorado's most famous and most tragic unsolved homicides. And that's actually, this is the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. They have pages on each of them. The details of the deaths are documented by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation are chillingly similar. The body of Schnee, 21, wasn't discovered until July 1982, but she disappeared on January 6. The same day, 30-year-old Oberholtzer was last seen. Alright, so he didn't use the Kleenex or anything to clean up anything. It just happened to land on there. Oberholtzer's body was found the next day on the summit of Hoosier Pass near Breckenridge. Likewise, Schnee's remains were finally spotted in a similar remote location south of town. I don't think they're similar that much. I think where Annette was found was vastly more remote than where Bobbie Jo was found. It was just south of a scenic lookout that a lot of people stopped at. So I don't think you can really say that that's a similar remote location. Both had been hitchhiking, both were shot to death, and no one has ever been arrested for either of the slayings. Just over 30 years later, the Summit County Sheriff's Office is making a renewed effort to change that equation. The SCSO held a meeting about the cases of Fairplay last night, and another one is stated for tonight at the Frisco Community and Senior Centers. The events get underway at 6 p.m. That'd have been great to be able to go to one of those. Those who can't make it to Frisco are encouraged to check out RockyMountainColdCase.com. And I think that is the, yeah, that's what we were just looking at right there. Which features photos and detailed accounts of what happened to Schnee and Oberholtzer that we're also sharing below. Here's the material about Oberholtzer. Bobbie Jo, last known stop, Breckenridge, Colorado, was at approximately 7:50 p.m. on Wednesday, January 6th. 1982, leaving the Village pub. Bobbie worked in an office in the same building and was celebrating a promotion. She was then seen alone near the Minute Mart, about 100 yards from the pub entrance. Bobbie's body was found at approximately 3 p.m. the following day, Thursday, January 7, 1982, near the summit of Hoosier Pass, approximately 10 miles south of Breckenridge. Bobbie was found face up 300 feet south of the parking lot at the top of the pass and 20 feet off of the southbound lane of Highway 9. Down snow embankment, the pass was covered in deep snow which had been plowed along the side of Highway 9. It was a very cold night, about 20 below, and it may have been snowing. Death resulted from a gunshot wound to the chest with a second grazing wound to the right breast. So it didn't go in her, it just grazed her right breast. So that probably, it's either when she turned around and one missed, or it could have, I don't know what direction. Maybe that one was from behind and then she turned around. I don't know, but it could have been that when she turned around he missed her with one shot and then hit her with the next one. And the location where the body was found. Evidence indicated that Bobbie was shot at close range of 1 or 2 feet. Man, well, I probably wouldn't have missed them. Maybe the first one is what got her to stop and turn around. Like he probably said, "Stop, turn around," and then she stopped because somebody shot a gun, and guns make you do things. And then when she turned around, boom, right? Evidence at the scene indicated, and when she turned around, he was right on her at that point. Evidence at the scene indicated that Bobbie may have gotten out of the suspect's vehicle at the top of the pass. Her key ring was with a metal hook defensive weapon made for her by her husband was found in the parking lot at the summit. Bobbie may have run downhill along the road approximately 300 feet and possibly again confronted by the assailant. Wasn't the orange sock also? Whoa! Holy crap, Wally Gator, did you win the lottery? Well, thanks,
Bite
Wally
me,
Gator.
LM. You always troubled. Dollar Bill's face.
Oh, man. Well, there you go. He just pulled one out right there. Well, thanks, Wally. But don't ever feel pressured like that to send something, to do that. That's not, the way she said that. Man, I thought this was interesting stuff here. I don't even know how you guys got onto that crazy stuff. How did that happen? Alright. She then seems to have gone over the snow embankment towards a stand of trees, stopping just short of the trees and retracing her tracks a short distance. She fell onto her back and slid down the snow a short distance before coming to rest where she died. The weapon used was a .38 or .357. I noticed in that one they don't include or a 9mm. A pair of 18-inch plastic ties were found on one wrist, suggesting that someone had attempted to bind Bobbie Jo. Also on January 7th, items were... They never mentioned they found the orange sock up there at that parking area, though. Purse were located approximately 20 miles from the crime scene along the southeast side of U.S. Highway 285. 3 significant items were recovered together approximately 30 feet off of the highway, lying on top of the snow in an open field. These 3 items consisted of the victim's backpack and some of its contents, her blood-stained wool glove, and a blood-stained tissue. Yeah, so if you look where those were found, they were way down this highway over here. And, you can go to Street View. And so it's likely that the person actually got out of the car and hucked the backpack way out there into the field when there was snow on the ground. Some people believe that there was another person in the car and threw it out the passenger window, but you can't get enough velocity on something to throw it that far sitting in a car. Okay? The only way you could do that would be get out of the car and fling it over there. But thanks, Wally Gator. It'll go to good use. Wallet contents were scattered along the same side of US 285, with the driver's license found north of the backpack at the Hamilton Ranch. So it's almost like they just kept finding stuff and just, dumped the purse out, looked at some stuff, threw it, and goes, oh yeah, I gotta get rid of this, gotta get rid of this. Wallet contents were scattered along the same side of 285, with the driver's license found north of the backpack. DNA testing has concluded that the source of blood on both the glove and tissue is from some unknown male donor. So I think these are exactly what we were just reading a few minutes ago. All right, now I've got one more article here. This one was from July of last year. I hadn't seen this one yet. You Can't Walk Away, a Colorado double murder and the chase for closure before time runs out. Yeah, it's sad looking at them, right? She just looks like somebody that would have been in my class or something. It's just crazy. Charlie McCormick was done with murder cases. So I think this guy here is the hero right here. He's the one that keeps searching, and hopefully, we'll get some news next week. "5 years in homicide left the Denver detective burned out. The dozens of killings each year drained his desire for police work." McCormick moved to Summit County in 1976 and carved out a steady career of private investigations, mostly focused on civil litigation cases and pre-trial work for defense attorney. When 2 young women were found murdered south of Breckenridge, McCormick, like the rest of the rattled resort community, followed the story in the local newspapers. As detectives struggled to find the killer, to even find a motive, McCormick remembered thinking, "I'm glad I'm not working that one." Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer, 29, and Annette Schnee, 21, were both working in Breckenridge when they went missing on January 6, 1982. They might have seen each other around town, but they had no apparent connection. But sometime in the afternoon and evening hours that day, they disappeared. Bobbie Jo's friend and family found her body the next afternoon in a snowdrift on Hoosier Pass, south of Breckenridge. Thanks, Claudia Neubauer. Again, you're very kind. Thank you. Annette remained missing for the next 6 months until a young boy found her body fully clothed in a creek further south near Fairplay. That was Sacramento Creek, I think. Both women were believed to be hitchhiking on the day they disappeared. Both were shot to death. The murders would have been shocking anywhere, but they especially rocked the small towns in Park and Summit counties. Authorities warned women about the risks of hitchhiking. One woman told Summit County Journal that she began locking her door at night when before she had not. See, that's exactly, again, like Delphi, right? A ski instructor, these murders like this destroy the innocence of towns. In the investigation, leads faded, and after about 18 months, the case went cold. Then one day in 1989, Richard Eaton, a detective with Summit County Sheriff's Office, newly assigned to the old double murder, ran into McCormick at the courthouse. The two were friendly and decided to have lunch where the cold case was brought up. McCormick, who had started to miss working homicides, asked Eaton if he could take a look at the case. No charge, just a fresh set of eyes. Eaton was happy to have the help and handed over the case files to two 5-inch binders. McCormick took the files home on a Friday. I don't even remember sleeping that weekend, he said. I couldn't lay it down. Oops. Let's see. So there he is. This is a 2015 photograph. McCormick returned the files with an addition of his own, a list of about 50 tasks to start reviving the case. It kind of lit my fire, McCormick said, and I've been on it ever since. So he's been working this case since 1989. That's just insane, man. It's awesome. Insane in a good way, right? While Eaton stayed on the investigation for the Summit County Sheriff's Office, McCormick signed on as a private investigator for Schnee's family, collecting a fee of $1 per year. So he didn't charge him anything. The two detectives traveled the country, tracking leads and suspects from New Jersey to West Virginia to Vermont, where a psychic once claimed to see the killer driving down a lonesome highway. See that idiot psychic? You caused the cost of money and time, all right? And if you're watching the show, I think you are sick people, all right? Thank you. Oh boy. Yep, right. Danette preceded me in her words. Oh boy. Yeah. Wow. 38 years after the killings, McCormick, now 80, remains on the case, chasing down leads and tips, trying to find a break. He works as an appointed detective for a task force through the Park County Sheriff's Office. It's just one of these things, said McCormick, who works out of a small loft office at his home in Breckenridge. I can't put it down if there's something to do. A cold night on the Hoosier Pass. Jim Hartke, an agent with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, was working a duty shift waiting to be dispatched to a homicide or unattended death when the call came through on the evening of January 7th, 1982. Probably a little after 3, I would imagine. It was Norman Howie, the Park County Sheriff. They had found a body up on Hoosier Pass south of Breckenridge and needed help from the CBI. The victim, Bobbie Jo Oberholtzer, had been missing the night before. Howie's request wasn't unusual. Hartke, who joined the CBI in 1976... Hey, by the way, were they looking the night she went missing? I'm sure Jeff probably called in and said, whoa, my wife's missing. Had they started looking for her that night? He left his... I remember hearing about that at one point. Let's see. He left his office near Denver and headed west. 38 years later, the first thing he remembered was the cold. Temperatures dipped near zero as they had the night before. When Bobbie Jo went missing, Highway 9 on the pass was plowed, but snow piled up in drifts along the roadway. Bobbie Jo was located face up about 20 feet off the road, down an embankment of snow. She had been shot in the chest. A pair of 18-inch zip ties were on one wrist. The investigators collected what they could, bottling vials of bloody snow. Not far from Bobbie Jo's body in the pass parking lot, they found 2 items. Her keychain with a hook apparently fashioned as self-defense weapon, and, there it is, an orange booty sock. The same day, January 7th, Bobbie Jo's backpack was found about 20 miles to the southeast off US 285. Inside the backpack, investigators found her blood-stained wool glove. See, it's weird that the glove was in the backpack. Like the guy just started loading everything in it and just chucked it or something. In a separate location. So are you saying that they actually took the so that's probably another reason he seemed a little bit, suspect at the time. So you're saying that the suspect took both victims' wallets? They've never recovered the actual wallets? Are you saying that? Is that a true statement? The investigators began to construct what they knew. Bobbie Jo was last seen leaving the village pub in Breckenridge. She worked in an office in the same building and was at the bar having a drink with coworkers. A witness saw Bobbie Jo near the pub shortly before 8, about 7:50 I remember. She was hitchhiking out of town toward the Hoosier Pass. Bobbie Jo lived on the south side of the pass in Alma with her husband Jeff Oberholtzer. When Bobbie Jo didn't make it home, Jeff Oberholtzer and a group of friends began searching for her. They found her body at about 3 p.m. the next day. The crime scene indicated a couple things to detectives. She was likely shot at close range, possibly 1 to 2 feet, so that means there was soot on her clothing. Or, gunshot residue. Near where her body was found, at the bottom of the embankment. The location was also about 300 feet from a parking lot on the pass where her key ring and orange bootie were found. Investigators assumed she might have escaped the suspect vehicle in the parking lot and ran down the hill falling, but knowing the basic scenario of what might have happened only got detectives so far. In those early hours, all they had, and the thing is the reality of it is it's always important to know exactly what happened and that kind of thing, but that kind of information a lot of times doesn't help find who the person is, right? It's like, okay, great, okay, she ran down, stood back up, shot, that doesn't help find out who the person is. It just helps put together the full story and understanding of what happened. Right. Now here's the orange socks part. I guess I could have read this. Eileen Franklin had a feeling maybe it was a mother's thing. She had sent her daughter Annette a package over the Christmas holiday, 1981, so just literally 10 days before, and tried calling her but couldn't get through. Back home in Sioux City, Iowa, Franklin figured a winter storm down the telephone lines in Colorado. But Franklin couldn't shake that feeling that something bad was looming. At the time, Annette Schnee was hoping to become an airline attendant, Franklin said. Well, she definitely had to look for it, didn't she?
Gosh, Granny, that's so mean. What do you mean look for it?
Oh, just has the look, right? She had left Iowa after high school for Patricia Stevens College, a modeling school. See, she was even a model in Omaha. After a year there, or could have been, I guess, she headed to Colorado and worked at Keystone and then Breckenridge and in Frisco. Franklin's Christmas package for her daughter included a pair of orange bootie socks. They matched the colors of her alma mater in Sioux City. That's funny because Alma is the name of that town, too, for Oberholtzer. Annette was planning a trip home to Iowa in April for her mother's birthday. On Sunday, January 10th, Franklin's phone rang. Annette was missing, authorities in Colorado told her. Annette was last seen a few days earlier, January 6th, the detectives told Franklin. She was leaving a pharmacy in Breckenridge when she was seen talking with an unknown woman, which probably is nothing at this point. I mean, you could, I guess, if we ever get this thing solved, maybe we'll find out. Maybe she was a lure for some people. Who knows? But you just never know. And that would actually match the two-person story. You have the woman being a lure for some of the women, and she's in the car too or something, and I don't know. I just always think that there's one person. Oh, I haven't blinked for a while? Okay, here we go. Oh, there we go. Okay. They said you have to do like forceful blinks too. It can't be just the casual blinks. All right. That sounds good. Sounds good. Investigators assumed that Annette then planned to hitchhike to her home 4 miles away in Blue River, and she was known to do. She was between shifts at the Holiday Inn in Frisco and the Flipside Bar in Breckenridge, where she was due to report about 8 p.m., but she never showed for work, and investigators found her uniform untouched at home. The investigators asked Franklin over the phone, could she think of where her daughter might have gone? Franklin had no idea. When she went to Colorado to retrieve her daughter's belongings, she found Annette's room intact, not abandoned. Annette was meticulous, her mother remembered. She'd never have left home with no possessions. In those initial weeks after her disappearance, Annette's siblings walked the roads of Summit and Park County searching for their sister. They found nothing. Investigators came up empty too in both Annette's disappearance and Bobbie Jo's murder. Nothing. We have absolutely nothing, Summit County Detective Dave Meixel told a local newspaper in early February that year. About 5 months later, on July 3rd, a young boy and his father were fishing the Sacramento Creek in a mountain valley about 10 miles south of the Hoosier Pass. The boy found a woman's body laying face down, fully clothed in a blue blanket. It was Annette. In a blue jacket, excuse me. I said blanket. Jeez. I was thinking blanket in my head, so I had to go back up and read it. Okay. It was Annette. The cold temperature and chilly waters had likely preserved her body for months. She had been shot once through her back, but investigators found no bullet. In Denver, Hejji, the CBI agent on the case, went to the coroner's office for the autopsy. As they examined the body, Hejji noted that Annette was wearing both shoes, a pair of light brown boots, a pair of pants, the blue jacket, and a long striped sock on her right foot. But it was what Hejji saw on Annette's left foot that stopped him, an orange booty sock, presumably the missing match to the sock found near Bobbie Jo's body 7 months earlier. It was just one of those aha moments. The sock, along with the fact that Annette was no longer a missing person, but a murder victim, confirmed investigators' suspicions that their deaths were related. Yep, so they did think that. But they had little else. There is no new evidence, no clues, no suspect, and we don't have a motive. Howie, the Park County Sheriff, told the Summit County Sentinel, it's tough. The investigators were forced to wait for someone to make a mistake. And though Annette had been missing for months, the authorities still could not locate or identify the woman she was seen speaking with at the Breckenridge pharmacy on the afternoon of January 6th. So, that makes it a little bit more interesting that maybe she had a connection to whoever was driving the vehicle. And made it even more likely that a female would get into that car. Almost like, hey, I'm getting a ride too. You want to, We hope that if there ever was such a woman with Schnee, she might come forward, Breckenridge Police Chief Ralph Schultz told the Sentinel. As it stands now, we can't do anything much different with the investigation. See, it is sort of interesting, right? Because that girl I think she was buying cigarettes that she liked or something, and why would she be doing that? Was that sort of like I don't know. I always thought it was just one person, but I often sort of throw this lady, the connection with her out the window, but you just never know, I guess. As it stands now, we can't do anything much different with the investigation than we've been doing. Okay. You'd have to be a local of some sort. The authorities weren't just withholding details from the newspaper. Realistically, I did at least assume the case were related, Hejji said. For everything we did for Oberholtzer case, we did for Schnee. It wasn't like we had a whole lot of new work to do. The discovery of Annette's body added to the confusing crime scene. Unlike the evidence tied to Bobbie Jo, her license and backpack discovered along US 285, Annette was located in a remote area. See, this article has it right, not like the other one. The area where Schnee was found, you'd almost have to have known it was there. You'd have to be a local of some sort. Hejji and the investigators pulled a list of local sex offenders and worked to rule them out when one witness vaguely remembered seeing a vehicle that might have been involved in the killing. The detectives resorted to hypnosis. I don't believe in that at all. I don't know. Maybe it must work. Maybe it allows some people to just think better or clearly, but I don't think make them relax and just think about it. The witness managed to recall a partial license plate number, and the investigators tracked down every potential plate. Right, so if they ever do make an arrest, let's get what his license plate was and see if it even is close to what the person under hypnosis saw. When a tipster in Alabama claimed to overhear two men discussing the murder at a diner, Hejji traveled to Birmingham to check it out. But those early leads went nowhere. In September 1982, Annette's backpack was found. Wow, it took that long to find that. That's crazy. Seemed like somebody, well, I guess it was down in those woods, though. Annette's backpack was found along Highway 9 between her home in Blue River and the Hoosier Pass. The backpack held a key ring and loose change and chapstick, and a photo of an unidentified man, and a business card from Jeff Oberholtzer's repair business. Detectives never identified the man in the photograph, but they were already focusing. So it's interesting that they have two people they haven't identified. The photograph and the woman that was talking to Annette in the, right? But, I mean, I think it's probably just some random photograph. Why would a killer put a photograph in a backpack? Oh, it was his signature because he knew he wasn't known. Yeah, who knows, right? Jeff Oberholtzer, who did not respond to an interview request for the story, was at home in Alma on the night his wife went missing, he told investigators. He also explained why Annette had his business card. He had once given her a ride while she was hitchhiking into Frisco. See, all of those questions would have been answered later. You know, just trying to set it up, but of course, everything got answered in the chat. McCormick said the story Oberholtzer told detectives, a version he also told last year for the television show, on the case with Paula Zahn, love Paula Zahn, by the way, was that sometime around the summer of 1981, months before the murders, he gave Annette a ride into town, stopping at a bank on the way. A friend of the Oberholtzers later told detectives she saw Annette sitting in Oberholtzer's truck at the bank, mistaking her for Bobbie Jo. Oberholtzer said he dropped Annette off in Frisco and handed her a card for his repair business, presumably the business card found in her backpack after his death. After McCormick and Eaton picked up the case, they worked to establish a tighter timeline of Oberholtzer's whereabouts on the day his wife went missing. So they definitely, they needed to make, clear this guy, right? The investigators confirmed that Oberholtzer was in Alma through the afternoon. He spent much of the evening at home and was there until at least 8:15, which makes it that he could not possibly have been the one that picked up Oberholtzer. Bobbie Jo, right? Or around that time, friends verified. At one point, a friend told detectives Oberholtzer received a call from his wife. And that made sense. In the mid-90s, as DNA testing advanced, the investigators were able to confirm The blood found on Bobbie Jo's glove belonged to a man, but not her husband. McCormick also emphasized that Jeff Oberholtzer often cooperated with investigators through the years, taking and passing 2 polygraph tests and allowing detectives to search his home for evidence. When interviewed for the On the Case last year, Oberholtzer pleaded for the case to be solved. Man, I gotta go watch that. Has anybody seen that episode? I gotta check that out. When interviewed for the On the Case last year, Oberholtzer pleaded for the case to be solved. It would lift a great burden. You know what's amazing though? Have you ever noticed that when we cover cases on our show, that all of a sudden the bigger networks within a few months have that same story? It's all, and it's I'm not saying that, but I do know that some of these producers are in my groups. So it's pretty interesting, right? So we covered this in 5 different shows, 2018, one in 2019, and then there you go. It's pretty interesting. Because this is a really not very known case. So, but it's very interesting. See, what's weird is this case is so interesting, but nobody talks about it at all, right? Like, how many of you, other than on my show, have actually heard about this case? It's just, for some reason, there's cases out there that really just don't, they just don't make it out there. They're just not popular. Like, this is 1,000 times more interesting than the Chris Watts case. Okay? But the Chris Watts case, the greatest case in the history of mankind, everybody. Yeah. In all, McCormick and Eaton have had the DNA of about a dozen people tested against the blood found. None came back a match. They're also still hoping for a match against the millions of samples in the FBI Combined DNA Index, CODIS, which has collected DNA from convicted felons since the early 1990s. Near the top of the detectives' list for several years was a man named Tom Luther. About 6 weeks after Bobbie Jo and Annette disappeared, Luther was arrested in a brutal hammer attack in Summit County. He had offered a woman a ride, claiming he was a cab driver, and then beat and raped her. Luther went to prison in that attack, but was arrested again in the early 1990s, accused in the murder of Shara Elder, a 20-year-old woman last seen leaving a casino. Yeah, so it's just a similar guy, right? One day, the investigators in Elder's killing gave McCormick and Eaton a call. They had seen something about Luther being a suspect in the murders of Bobbie Jo and Annette. McCormick and Eaton remembered the name. It was one of dozens suggested over the years and as a possible suspect. They then dug deeper, McCormick said. A pertinent detail surfaced. Sometime between Luther's 1982 arrest and trial, he told other jail inmates that he killed 2 young women near Breckenridge and that the authorities would never find the second girl. Hold on a second. I gotta check something out. There you go. Hey, look at that. It's a match, everybody. I'm just kidding. Luther was angry and denied killing let's see. McCormick and Eaton tracked down the inmate who heard the story, and they confirmed Luther's comments. They then flew to Charleston, West Virginia, where Luther was serving prison time in a separate rape case. Luther was angry and denied killing Bobbie Jo. "They aren't my girls. I'll never forget him saying that." Luther McCormick, wow, so he killed 2 others? Luther McCormick pointed out that he was known to use a hammer, not a gun. When the investigators tested his DNA against the blood on Bobbie Jo's glove, it didn't match. Hey, thanks, Lee D. Wow, he sounds a little bit more like John Miller. The Luther ordeal highlighted how a cold case can get complicated. Not only was there evidence scattered across a wide swath of mountain terrain, there were also several jurisdictions investigating the case. Breckenridge Police, the Summit and Park County Sheriff's Office, and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation all worked the case, filing numerous reports. The mountain of assorted information McCormick discovered years later was difficult to sort through, with some gaps in communication between agencies. Somewhere along the line, Luther alleged confession was lost in that shuffle. In another instance, McCormick and Eaton learned that a CBI agent, not Hardkey, had looked into a possible suspect who was also accused of attacking women on a bike path in Frisco. The evidence in the agent's box file included a pair of plastic wire ties, the same kind found on Bobbie Jo's wrist. From the case file, it looked as if the plastic ties might have been found in the suspect's home or car. McCormick followed up with the CBI agent, who years after the fact could not remember how the ties factored into the suspect's file. As it turned out, the agent had simply bought the ties to have them handy in case he found a similar pair on the suspect. Shit. I don't even know what that even means. Why would that matter? Jeez. Even establishing a more detailed timeline for Jeff Oberholtzer's whereabouts on the night his wife died, the first main task undertaken by McCormick when he joined the case, took more than a year. But one constant remained through the years. McCormick has had no shortage of leads to pursue, boosted no doubt by the publicity surrounding the case. The murders were featured in an episode of Unsolved Mysteries in 1992. So it was on Unsolved Mysteries in 92. They gave us about 5 years worth of work. A Discovery Channel program in the mid-2000s, one that involved the help of psychics, freshened the investigations, and the Summit Daily newspaper has followed the case, and last year on The Case with Paula Zahn aired an episode. So that episode must have been 2019. Yeah, well, I'm not allowing call-ins. I'm not sure why you know. Have you heard any? I haven't had any call-ins tonight. So yeah, I'll take it off the screen so it doesn't confuse anybody. Does he have inside information on the case, Poppy Coco? Or is it just somebody that wants to call in about whatever? Because I don't know who you are. I've never seen you, Poppy Coco. You know what I bet, Poppy Coco? I bet it's you wanting to call in, but you're pretending it's your friend. Oh, okay. Well, it wouldn't matter then. If he doesn't have any inside information, it wouldn't be any more. I'm somebody that has a brain and really logical and can think through the cases and wouldn't need a degree to see what I see. Just like Dennis, right? Yeah. Okay, well, if he had special insight regarding the case, maybe, but it sounds like he's just like anybody else. All right, here we go. 1982, the blood DNA held little use. Investigators were able to test the blood for a type, and it matched the same type as Bobbie Jo. So it was the same type as Bobbie Jo. DNA testing did not be... God, it's amazing they retested that again and didn't just accept it. A fruitful discussion. You don't need to block those comments. She didn't say anything that would have a fruity discussion. Fruity? Okay, that's okay. I thought it said... Well, it did say fruitful on the connect. It's okay, Jen. Don't worry about it. Yeah, and then she corrected it with fruitful with a star on it. But yeah. Yeah, we know, Gene. I'm not sure why 8 hours later you're talking about switchbacks again. That's amazing. Are you like on a time delay or? Yeah, but that's cool. Thank you guys. Thanks, Jen H, for looking out. I think that person's just wanted to make a troll call. Somebody wanted to make a troll call in there. If you're not going to comment the whole show and your only comment is hey, my friend wants me to call. It sounds like the one where you're calling a advice line for yourself, but claim it's for your friend. Right? Jen H. Jen H is sort of like that calming factor, you know. Just kind of that smooth, calming factor of the show. Jen H. Yeah. Right, but we weren't even talking about switchbacks at this time. All right, so anyways, DNA testing did not become widespread until the early 1990s with the formation of CODIS. But CODIS would require the suspect to be arrested for a felony, and as the years passed by, those chances only dwindle. Maybe he found Jesus, McCormick said. Maybe he's dead. In recent years, a flurry of cold cases across the country, and in Colorado in particular, have been solved, here we go, through a new technique known as genetic genealogy, where investigators use ancestry databases to trace a killer's DNA through their family tree. The case that opened the floodgates was the high-profile Golden State Killer murders in California. But genetic genealogy can only help a fraction of cold murders and sexual assaults. For every case cracked, for every family that finds closure, thousands more remain unsolved and fade away. Franklin, Annette's mother, is 87. McCormick is 80. Wow, Annette's mom's still out there. That's awesome. The other detectives who worked the case have long been retired or passed away. I've been waiting, Franklin said, but my time is running out. She stays in touch with McCormick, and they share cards at Christmas. You couldn't find a better person, Franklin said. Charlie has really went the whole 9 yards on this thing. God bless him. And you know, that's the individual that Dennis knows. So Dennis is like, man, he's so fortunate to have, you know, of course Dennis was a suspect for a while. Yeah. It's running out, whether the case ends with him or they land with nowhere to turn. The day will come, he said, where you just have to put it in a drawer someplace. You can't solve them all. Ha ha! Well, I guess we'll see if there's any good news coming out. Potential good news. McCormick estimated that rarely does a month pass where there's not something worth pursuing, a lead worth following. It just doesn't. It just doesn't want to seem to die, McCormick said. Just last year, he shifted the bulk of the case files, now 35 5-inch binders, up from the 2 he received from Eaton. Wow, he added 33 binders over the year. He shipped them up from his home to the Park County Sheriff's Office, which oversees the small task force for the case. For whomever gets the case when McCormick is gone, at least the files will be organized, he figured. I have no problem working it to the bitter end, McCormick said. You can't walk away from it. Or I can't. Haven't wanted to. Tomorrow, another day, and you got stuff to do, and you see what might happen. Oh man, what a great article to read with the potential of some, good news coming out next week. And again, that's good old Charlie right there, right? Boom, kicking ass. That guy's awesome. I don't know him personally, but yeah, that said that in the article, Dennis. That he only charged $1 a year. Really, just probably to make it official. So, pretty amazing, everybody. Pretty amazing. Hopefully, we'll get some good news next week. All right? So, you guys are all back up to date on this case. I am going to end the show now. I appreciate you guys showing up tonight. I hope you guys feel like you really know it well now. As usual, when you're on this show, you sort of feel like you're in the areas. You see it on a map. You get to go down on Street View. Now, if you haven't seen, there's a playlist on my channel that has 5 previous shows on it that you might want to check out because it's going to be a lot of overlap, obviously. But we had callers. But I know I did a show where Dennis, I played all of his videos. He had a ton of videos that he shot out there talking, and it was really interesting. And I got to go try to find the file somewhere. Yeah. So, anyways, I really appreciate you guys watching tonight. I hope you got something out of it. And see, this is it's sad to me. Like on a night like this, where it was such an interesting case, we got up to like 175 people, right? But whenever you cover the Delphi case, you get 600 people watching. But it would be amazing if all those other people gave 2 shits about true crime enough where they saw these other cases that are so freaking interesting. And they deserve the same attention as any of the other ones. But, I can't fix any of that behavior at all. I mean, we've covered some really insanely interesting cases out there. Thanks, LM.
Fingers crossed for good news next week. Thank you, Gray. Dennis.
Awesome. Yeah, now, remember the case of Malvina Krutz that we took 4 nights to go over all those articles and how detailed that was? I should make a playlist just for her. I think didn't I do that though? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Who killed Malvina? I might have to do that one on a oop, there goes my stomach. Alright. So and then right after that one we did Linda McDaniel. Then we did a 3-part series on the LaSalle Street murders. That was very interesting as well. Yeah, no, it's cool. Wacky movie clips. You gotta join it. You gotta be one of the green people. Tell me what? Oh, really? Let me see. Oh, that doesn't work. Ah, crap. Jesus. It just sent me somewhere totally unrelated. Ruined it. Took off the... Alright, hold on. Oh, so I don't have... Let me edit this and put it in my Schnee Oberholtzer playlist. That's funny, because I looked him up, but I couldn't find his name even. That's weird, because I typed in my name and Dennis, and it didn't come up. Alright, I'm adding it to the playlist. Okay, this is September 2015. You guys should see the penalty. Oh yeah, you haven't been ordered.
And
so maybe what I'll do is I'll save this one. Thanks for finding that. Maybe I'll save this for a. So I just put Dennis. I didn't put his last name. But I'll, if there is breaking news next week, I'll open that sucker back up. I don't want to play it now. I've been on there for 3 hours and 19 minutes. Okay. All right. So I added that to the Schnee Oberholtzer, so there should be 5 videos in there. There was actually a duplicate in there before, so I got rid of that. So there you go, everybody. And let me get the switch over the voices. Yeah, what was cool is after I first covered the case, that's when Dennis got really interested in it. And he just kept going. And I'd cover it over time, but a few different times, but I got a whole bunch of cases I got to cover. I can't stick on one every single day for a long time. So here we go.
Thank you to Zozo, Mag, Michelle Nicholas, Ocean Beach Lifestyle, Claudia Neubauer, Billy Boy Blue, Jessica Schubach, C. Streg, Lori Staggs, Crystal a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal, the longest name in YouTube history. J. Case, Cindy Lynn, Craig Andrews, became a member, Oogla Boogla Freak, CC, Claudia Neubauer, Kevin Brown, Zozo, LM, Rita Schaefer, LM became a Megazoid, Rita Schaefer, Ted Para became an Oogla Boogla Freak, or Ted Sperry, Claudia Neubauer, Rita Schaefer, Mag, Cindy Lean, Rita Schaefer, Wally Gator, Claudia Neubauer, Lee D, Vanessa Dance, LM. Georgina on PayPal. And John on PayPal. John Strickland. And that's it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Very cool. Very cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, Jamie got a hold of me. I might, yeah. Okay. If you're out there, Jamie, I'll look into that. That'd be pretty cool. You could pull a Cairo or something. All right, everybody. Awesome. Thanks for being there, Dennis, and answering the a lot of the questions. That last article seemed to have a lot of that stuff in it. It's really cool that you're able to work with such an awesome guy, and hopefully the news will be good. That's coming out next week. All right. So that's it, everybody. Make sure that you wash your hands, maintain your social distancing, wear a mask, and then sometime maybe around, 12 my time, we're going to go over it's going to be a members-only show going over the poem. Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm not, let's just wait till then. I don't want to make it sound like, yeah, Wendy Kipple. She's the one that was helping. Remember, I have a show with Wendy Kipple on it. It's in that playlist. But in our case, we were talking about the Summit County John Doe, right? So you have to check that out. But yeah, the poem to Rockabye Baby, we'll go over at like 12 or 1 tomorrow, and you guys can. I'll have Mary Lou sing them, or you can call in and sing them, and have music on in your background. Because if you don't, I won't know how you sequence the words. There's some people that every single syllable matches up. All right, everybody. So thank you very much. They're in the members only comment section of my channel. You go to the comments and it's one of the posts in there. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. Oh, wear your mask, maintain your social distancing, and wash your hands. All right, thanks. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, projector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, parameter inspector with a vector on his vector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I attempt to fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight like a blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you.
All right. Man, that was a really cool show, Gray. I mean, that's one of those cases that not a lot of people know about. It's really...
Yeah, he said this. He said exactly that a few minutes ago.
I know, but I was just trying to repeat it, Gosh, why can't I just do that?
That was a bit early on the cry. You should have waited a little bit.
Oh, you think so? Okay, let me try. Gosh, John boy, that was so mean.
That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. All right, good night, Mary Lynn.
Yeah, good night, John boy.
Ah, what a bunch of posers. What a bunch of posers, I tell you. She is crazy, isn't she? Be safe out there.